Has it ever confused you when you pour your heart out to a man and then he turns around and tells you that he's not attracted to you right after you do that? Isn't it even more confusing when the guy that likes you the most is the guy that knows absolutely nothing about you? Well, what if I told you that's because making men fall in love is about strategically understanding how to listen more, but talk less? Which is why on today's show, we're going to be discussing how to make men fall in love without talking. That way, you can stop being so unappreciated by men and instead have them begging to understand you better. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please say here present so that I know you're here present and actively participate. Thompson, you tell me all the time that I should let these men talk about themselves. I should let them ramble. I should even let them trauma dump. But Thompson, I feel like if I do that too much, I'll get to a point in my relationship with him where he now comes to me to only trauma dump and he never asks about me, he never cares about me. And instead of ending up as a girlfriend, I just become his friend that he uses to get things off of his chest, and there's no real romance here. So I want to kind of break this down so that we can understand this easy trap, we can discuss it together, and we can understand how to help you avoid that while still making a man fall in love with you, all right? So what does it look like to be in a position where you've fallen for the trap of now you're letting him talk, but instead of it inspiring romance in your relationship, it's inspiring you just being like a friend that he trauma dumps? What does that look like? So obviously, right, there's going to be no romance in the process of him trauma dumping on you. Now, we want men to talk and we want them to talk about themselves. But what we want is when it comes to kind of like being a girlfriend, we want this to put him in a trance. What kind of trance am I referring to? We want him to feel like, wow, I'm having such a good time with you on this date. And I feel so good around you on this date because of how much I'm sharing about myself. Now, he's not going to realize that. What he's going to kind of say when he's in a trance, he's going to say things like, wow, I feel so good around you. This is the type of rhetoric that he will speak when this is working properly. When we're allowing him to talk and you're using the power of listening and not talking properly in a way that gets you closer to being his girlfriend. What he'll start to feel like is, wow, we're having great conversation. Things are really flowing. I feel really close to you. I feel like we're really having a vibe. The kids love vibes, okay? I should even put that here, right? I'm feeling a vibe. You'll hear him talk a lot about vibes if he's Gen Z, okay? He'll say all of these vibes he's feeling as you guys are discussing and having conversation. These are key elements to pay attention to know that you're in the right place. Now, one of the things that I also want to point out to you is here, because I know some of you will make this mistake as well, or could fall for this trap as well. See, yes, we're going to put them in a trance. And yes, we're going to make them feel good and they're going to want you so badly and all that good stuff. But what could also happen if you end up becoming just a trauma dump friend is he doesn't even bother to ask you anything. He doesn't care about what's going on in your life. He doesn't care to ask you any questions. He doesn't care to ask you any follow-up questions. He doesn't even care to ask you basic information about yourself. That's a key sign that you're falling into the trap of, rather than not talking and allowing him to talk and just listening to become his girlfriend, you're actually becoming kind of more of a friend, right? Pay attention to how interested he is in you, because when you're becoming a girlfriend, when you stop talking and you actually listen more and you're good at asking questions all at the same time, right? Also, what will be happening is you'll create a lot of mystery about you and who you are and where you're from and where you're about. And at a certain point, that mystery will start to bubble up within him and he'll say, huh, but what about you? I wonder about you. You haven't told me much about yourself, right? And periodically, he'll kind of remember, hey, I want to learn more about you. I'm very curious about you. I'm curious about where you're from. I'm curious about how you think and all of that good stuff. We're going to get to that as well, right? And subsequently, right, if you are not doing this properly, there will be no mystery. And the reason I say there will be no mystery in this trap part, in this friend part, is because he is not actually even curious about you or about your life. because this relationship or whatever it is that's going on in between you guys is not really about him getting to know you better or caring anything about you or this relationship. It's just about letting him get his own self off. All right. Another thing to kind of take note of, because it just dawned on me, right? Notice the difference between someone who is discussing things about themselves and their life because you're asking questions and you're such a good listener and you're very inquisitive versus someone who is just coming on a date with you or a hangout with you to rant about things going on in their life. I know that this can kind of feel like, well, it's a gray area here, Thompson. Which one is it? But as time goes on, and you recognize these things better and you practice these things, you'll get better at realizing the difference between someone who you just have in a trance because you're asking such good questions versus someone who's literally just ranting to you about everything in their life and there's no real romance here. Okay? Take notice of even when they do talk about their life and they do talk about their situations, if they can't even at least follow up their situation with asking you, what about you? And they just go right into the next thing about themselves, that's more in line with a rant, okay? Whereas he's just like, oh, well, so this thing happened at work and you wouldn't believe how my boss was treating me and da-da-da-da. And by the way, you know, with my family, I've got a thing going on and my mom, she's just been bothering me all day. And then you'll start to notice a pattern of, I'm actually not saying anything. I'm not even prompting these questions. He's literally just ranting and he's just going off on a tangent, right? There's a difference there. And that likely would mean that you're not actually doing this in a way that's making him fall in love with you, that you can become the girlfriend. You're doing this more in a way where he's just trauma dumping and getting stuff off of his chest, okay? Easy trap to fall into. Trust me, we've all been there, even especially the guys, actually guys fall into this a lot. And become a friend that way. So just take notice of that when you're doing this in order to make men fall in love, because you're definitely not doing this to be someone's side, piece or side friend that they just come to trauma dump, right? So there's a little bit of a balance there. And I know some of you have been very curious about that, all right? Let's hop into our point number 2, okay? So in point number 2 here, super duper important because it goes along with point number 4. Okay? So what we're going to do here, we're going to draw a bit of a bar. Erase that. We're going to draw a bit of a bar. And what we want to do, I'm going to explain this here. So we want to kind of, well, let me introduce the point first. Point number 2 is about interest. What we want to do here, in our interest, we'll think of this as a bar. There's levels to this, okay, as the kids say. We want to kind of understand, as you're not talking and listening so well and asking such good questions. Remember, as he's answering, we don't want to fall into the trap of this being like a friend vibe. We want to gauge what level of this is coming from the fact that I have him in a trance, right? And what level of this would we describe more as a dump, okay? So the reason that I'm saying we need to gauge this level of interest is because remember, we're not just not talking in order to allow a man to just dump on you and talk all the time and whatever the case may be. We're doing this strategically because we want to figure out how we can be a more attractive version of ourselves and create some mystery where the guy actually has to lean forward a little bit, ask you a couple of questions because he actually has some curiosity about who you are. What we're trying to get done here and accomplish here is we're trying to set the stage for the man to actually feel like he wants to learn about you, to actually feel like you're fascinating to him. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to come onto our dates from the very beginning saying, okay, so I'm going to tell you my life story from literally my birth and conception all the way until now. And I'm going to tell you it right now. Hopefully you're writing down notes because I'm going to go through everything, right? We don't want that because that's not creating the right level of aura to you, the right level of mystery that we want men to have when it comes to you, the woman, because that mystery will incentivize him when he goes home after this date to say, I want to see her again because I want to learn more about her. I want to understand her better. I want to be around her to soak her in more. All of that stems from the motivation of the mystery of you. So we want to gauge what level, I said dump, the dump here, right? We want to gauge what level of this in his interest level is the dump and what level is the trance. So how do you properly gauge that whenever you're with a guy or when you're talking to a guy? Similar to how I talked about before, you want to be thinking, well, is this a rant here? Or am I prompting these questions? Do you have romantic interest in me as we're having this discussion? Or are you treating this more like, hey, I'm just here to get certain things off of my chest? Take a notice of this as well. This will be a very important gauge for you. If you guys are going out on these dates and these conversations that you're having where he's sharing of himself still end up leading to him doing things for you, whether it be, paying for your date, being courteous for you, asking you out again in the future and continuing to take action for you, then you more likely have this guy on a trance. An easy way to spot if you're really just more in a dump stage is he will do things like call you at 2 a.m., right? A 2 a.m. call or a 2 a.m. we could even say hangout here, right? A 2 a.m. call or hangout where the two of you, instead of it being like, hang here, instead of it being like, hey, you guys go out on a date, you guys have a conversation, you're asking such good questions, he's in a trance, he's so seduced by you, all that good stuff, it will come in the version of he'll say, hey, I know it's late and I know you're probably half asleep, but I just really need to talk to someone and I have no one else to talk to. Can we go for a long drive? And what you'll notice after a certain amount of time is, as time goes on, everything or every time you guys meet will be, hey, I just need to get some stuff off my chest. I just need to talk to you. Can we go for a long drive? What will happen though, because I've seen someone say that I love our 2 a.m. calls though, that's not a bad thing. But what I want you to gauge is this also coming with him doing something for me? What I mean by doing something for me is he taking action for me? Is he showing me that he wants me in a romantic sense? Or is he using all of the times that he sees me as a way to extract from me in the sense of saying, hey, I need to dump on someone. I need to get some stuff off of my chest. Because then we're not doing this the right way, right? We're not doing this how it should be doing. So the reason I'm saying this is because making men fall in love with you without talking is also about understanding how to put yourself in a position where he's actually falling in love with you, not just using you. So we have to be gauging that as you guys are having these dates and as you guys are having these hangouts. Is he going to be only talking to you when it's a late night 2 a.m. call or a late night drive? Because eventually, if that's the only time you guys see each other, that's not really a lot of effort put into the dating stage, because you can't really even call that a dating stage. And now you've just transitioned yourself from not talking and listening to become a girlfriend into not talking and listening to become a best friend, which is useless to you. What are you going to do with the male best friend? Nothing. Okay. Let's hop into point number 3. Okay. Now let's get into a little bit more of the nitty gritty. Now that we know what we're trying to avoid, let's talk about how to really do this not talking thing the right way, okay? In a more practical sense. Why is that still on my board? Okay. It's going to sound very weird to you, but I'm going to explain this concept to all of you so that we can all be on the same page, okay? Alrighty. So, gonna look weird when I first start writing it out, but don't worry, I will explain. And here we will put okay. So, what I want you to kind of take in here, and point number 3 is about being vague. Now, I know this sounds weird because I'm telling you to purposely go on dates and be vague with people, but there's a strategy to this, and there's a way to do this right, and there's a way to do this wrong, okay? So One of the things you've probably made a mistake of before in your dating life, trust me, I've been there as well, is when you get on a date, you feel like it's necessary to give people a book like description with all the details of exactly who you are, where you're from, where you've been, what you're about, and what you've been through from start to finish. That is a mistake. One, it's way too much information for a first date. It's unnecessary information for a first date. And all of that time you spend talking is less time for him to talk and less time for you to learn about him and understand him better. It doesn't work in any of those ways, okay? Or any of those aspects, okay? So this book thing we want to avoid because we don't need to be giving men all these details about us that aren't really even helping us to get to where we want to go. So why do I put the word summary here? Being vague strategically is about understanding how to answer questions, right, in an efficient manner. Okay, I know I'm making this sound very mathematical, okay, and like we're really strategizing here. That's because we are. In an efficient manner to answer questions, meaning how do I get to the crux, to the essence of what it is that I'm trying to say without ever going too far into dumping, number one, trauma dumping, and number two, without not spending so much time talking about myself that I don't give myself an opportunity to ask him questions and ask him some follow-up questions to better understand his mind and where he's coming from, okay? So being efficient with your answers in terms of your summary means you have to know how to get to the point, right? Also, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, you have to understand how do you frame, okay? And there's a little bit of prep that comes with framing that I'll explain to you in a little later. But these are the type of things we want to understand when we're going about our dating life, because this is going to help us be a lot more vague, okay? Right? We can also say in here, tell everything. Oops. I'll just say talk a lot. Right? And all of these things that just make this book description of your life not what we are trying to do. So how do you actually go about being vague in a good way? I'll give you a nice example. I'll give you a nice example of what it would look like to answer a question in a vague way. Let's say a guy says, okay, tell me why your last relationship ended. This would be an example of a vague but efficient answer. You know, me and my last guy ended because we just were very misaligned. I know I'm looking for a man who's a leader. I'm looking for a man who has very particular qualities as a masculine man. And I just at a certain point in our relationship realized he didn't possess those qualities. And once I realized that for sure, I just knew that he was no longer the man for me. And then we broke up. We ended the situation. Do you see how I'm giving you an answer that feels very direct and clear? I'm summarizing the situation without getting into too many details about everything that transpired, but it's a answer that feels when you hear it, you're like, oh, I'm satisfied with that answer. I can understand what you're saying here, right? He might ask you some follow-up questions, and the same way you answer in an efficient summary answer that doesn't necessarily have to go into all the details about everything that's happened in your entire life. Why? Because remember, we're here to not just talk about ourselves, we're here to listen and listen strategically. We're also here to create a little bit of mystery. It's okay to allow men to work for more answers, okay? I'm gonna say that again, very important. It's okay when you go on your dates to allow men to work for more answers. Why? Because as he gets more intrigued, and especially as he's intrigued and then the date ends, what do you think the first thing he's going to be thinking to himself? I have more questions for her. I want to understand her better. I want to know more about her. I think she's so fascinating and so interesting, okay? So we're trying to get you in a place where you're good at flowing in conversation, talking a little bit without saying too much, right? Sharing a little bit where people feel like this is an open, honest conversation without going so overboard that you're taking over all the conversation and then you're not learning anything about him and you're also not creating any mystery within yourself, okay? Right? Someone says, what if a guy does this to you first? This is why we're here, so that you can reverse it on him and not get stuck in this, right? Because some guys, like if you meet me, or if you meet a guy like me and you go on a date with me, I ask such good questions, it's easy to get into the vibe of trauma dumping. If I get you in a trauma dumping stage or vibe, it's cooked for you, because then you're just gonna be yapping the entire time and you're not gonna learn anything about me, okay? So you got to come into your date prepared, okay? Which actually is perfect for the title of our next point here. Okay. Point number 4. Now, point number 4, so important, okay? And I'm glad someone talked about it so that we can go right into it and discuss it here. Okay, point number 4. Point number 4 is about your prep. See, I tell you all, I give you answers, or sorry, I should say, I give you questions that are great to go onto your dates and ask men. I give you things that you should be thinking about and looking out for when you're going out to these men and when you're meeting them, and that you should want answered. That's great. However, when you go out on these dates and you're asking such great inquisitive questions, remember that eventually some men will start to become curious about those same things about you. So part of your prep here will be understanding and anticipating that all of these great, amazing questions that I go on my date and I ask this man will be reversed back onto me. And if I'm not prepared to answer these questions, I'm going to stumble and fumble on my answers. I'm not going to answer them efficiently. And I might start ranting and rambling because I'm nervous, not thinking about what would happen if I got asked the same question. The reason I call this point number 4 about prep is because you have to understand that for you, okay, in your situation here, you are essentially the artist here. You're the artist in the sense that you get to paint a frame here of everything you've been through, right? Of your friends, of your relationships, right? Of your life, of things that make you sad, your traumas, we can even put here, right? Everything that you've been through in your entire life, your job, all that good stuff, anything, loves, all of this stuff is part of the way that you, the person that you have become up until this point. And you have to understand part of your prep should be going into your dates, knowing how you're going to frame each one of these topics about yourself. I know it sounds really strategic and really specific and almost a little bit manipulative to be preparing your answers for someone when you go on a date. But the reason I say that is because, 1, I don't want you rambling and going off on a tangent. Number 2, I also want you anticipating the type of questions you'll receive from someone else so that you can control the narrative. I'll be honest with you. Controlling and understanding how to control a narrative, especially when you're on a date, can be the difference between getting a second date and not. Because the reality of it is, men are going to choose to take you on a second date or not based on their perspective of you. If they see you as a particular type of woman based on how you talk about yourself and talk about your life, they're more inclined to say, I want to spend more time with this type of woman. Subsequently, they could also go on a date with you, hear you talk and be like, I don't really like your vibe. I don't think that you're someone I want to spend more time with. And the thing about it is, you do that as well. There's plenty of men that open their mouth, and as soon as they open their mouth, you're like, oh, you're super unattractive to me. And in fact, now that you've opened your mouth, I don't even like you anymore. Vice versa, the same thing can happen to you if you don't go on your dates prepared for the types of questions you'll receive, and prepared in understanding how you're going to frame the narrative of each one of these most important topics that will come up in your conversation. Because remember, like we talked about in our earlier point, we're making sure that you answer questions quickly and efficiently in a way that feels very direct, like you're not avoiding anything, but also doesn't allow you to get into trauma dump territory yourself, or put you in a position where you're oversharing and not allowing there to be any more mystery to the essence of who you are, right? You know how the kids talk about aura? All the people with aura have a little bit of mystery to them. You can't have aura these days, like the kids say, unless you have some mystery. If everyone knows everything you're doing 24/7, ain't no mystery to you, and subsequently ain't no aura to you as well, okay? Let's hop into point number 5. All right. Does that make sense to all of you so far? Okay, we trying to help you gain some aura here. Am I helping you gain some aura, as the kids say? Some aura points. Someone said in the chat. Okay. All right. Point number 5. This is a great kind of way to describe this, and I love this. So I really want to kind of hopefully not mess up painting this picture for you. I'm going to draw a stick plane, okay? So we will do it like this. Yep, just like that. Just like that. That's how we're going to do this. Okay, there we go. And then this here. Okay, so point number 5 is about the runway. Now, why am I describing this as a runway? See, we'll put this here. You are the runway and the man is the plane. Why is that? What I want you to start doing and get strategic at doing when you go out on your dates is understanding how to give runway to men to land their plane on your runway. Now, for those of you with a dirty mind, that might sound dirty. What I'm actually referring to is the psychology of giving men just a little bit in your answers and in the things you say about yourself, and allowing them to do a little bit more work to like land the plane, to get to the destination of the truth or the answer. What does that look like in a practical sense? It could be something like, let's say you two are at a restaurant, and let's say you guys are having a discussion about food. And you say something like, oh, I remember one time I had the craziest meal ever. It was just, you wouldn't even believe it if I told you. See, this is one of the ways where you can create a little bit of intrigue and make someone say, wait, what? You had the craziest meal ever and it knocked your socks off. It was amazing. What was it? Honestly, I shouldn't even bother telling you, because you're just going to be like, no, you're crazy. You're insane for eating that. You're not even going to like it. I can't even tell you. it's just not, forget it. And be like, wait, what was it? What was the thing that you ate that was so amazing and knocked your socks off, but it was weird? Come on. I'm not a square. What was it? Nah, it's not even, forget it. I shouldn't have even said it, because when I ate, it's kind of nasty. I shouldn't even said it. But you see how, like, when you let people kind of work a little bit for your answers, you're creating a little bit more intrigue. Even in something as silly as, what did I eat that was really weird and strange, right? And I know it sounds like, wow, Tomisin, you're telling me to like be super annoying and not give direct answers. Yeah. Because you want to know what that does? You're creating an effect where people want to lean in and they want to kind of understand more. What is it? What is the thing? What is this about you? What did you do? What did you say? Where did you go? And when you can start to create this psychological effect on an ongoing basis with the guy that you're dating, we actually have a very good thing going. Because now we have a guy who is very intrigued by you, very fascinated by you, very fascinated with understanding you. So then, the less you continue to talk, the more a little bit frustrated and agitated he is, because the more he wants to understand you. And this is why, because someone said in the chat, it's like being a tease. It is like a version of being a tease, because the reality of it is, men, they respond to that psychology. They respond to that way of you being as a woman, being a little bit of a tease where you give him just a little bit and then he has to land the plane. The reason I'm calling it a runway and a plane is because all you're doing is providing a runway for him to land the plane on. He has to take control of the wings. He has to figure out how he's going to get this on the runway properly. But you're just allowing him the space to take control here. there's a very, very important psychological effect to this, where as time goes on, you're going to basically copy and paste this same psychology that you're going to be using on your very first couple of dates to the rest of your relationship, where all you do is provide your man with a runway and you allow him to land his plane on your runway as he sees fit. What you're not going to be doing in the business of your relationship is to be doing all the steering and controlling for your man, because then you're going to be in your masculine energy. Okay, let's hop into our point number 6. Alrighty. Point number 6 here. Okay. Now, point number 6. Very important. And this is great for understanding how to ask good questions, okay? It's something that actually, well, we'll discuss, and then I'll tell you about what I think about this. So let's do this here. We'll split this up into a couple, yeah, we'll do it like that. We'll do this. We'll do that. And we'll do this. Okay. All right. So point number 6 is about the follow-up. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of an analogy in a visual so that we can all be on the same page. And then I'll explain what I really mean by this. So let's imagine that this here is a cake. And on this cake, there is 4 different layers. So you have your top layer here, which is your icing. And then you have here, which is like the cake layer. And then you have here, maybe this is the brownie layer. And then you have here, which is maybe the cookie base. All right. So the reason I say this, and I want to give you this analogy, is because I want you to think of this very important concept when it comes to the guys that you're dating and any guy you're going to date at any time. Follow-ups are such an amazing way to get deeper into himself, his life, and into answers that you probably wouldn't have done if you didn't ask that question. Because one thing that you're trying to do when you go out on your dates, in terms of making men fall in love with you, but at the same time gathering information, is you want to understand, how does he process information? That communication will bring both of you closer together. 1, you'll understand him better, so you'll feel more comfortable around him. Number 2, as he's talking more about himself, he'll feel closer around you. So how do you do follow-up the right way? And what am I specifically talking about? Anytime he makes a statement of something that he did or he said, so let's say, for the sake of example, he said, oh, you know, me and my friends always go to the bar on Saturdays, and that's our favorite place to go. That's our favorite place to spend our time. A very simple question will be, why? Or how, right? Depending on whatever the statement is, or the saying, or the story he's telling is. Asking that will actually get you a lot deeper into answers that you probably wouldn't have gotten unless you asked a simple question like that. Asking for the why and the how on an ongoing basis, whenever a guy is talking to you about himself or his life, he'll be forced to tell you reasonings as to why he did the thing that he did. This is great for many reasons. 1, it forces him to think a little bit deeper into not just surface level, okay, I did A, I did B, I did C. It also forces him to think, well, why did I do A? Why did I do B? Why did I do C? And as he's saying that and he's getting deeper, right, now you guys are having a little bit of a deeper conversation. So the reason I call this, you know, I put a cake here, is because each why, right, each why, each how, right, that you will give a guy will get you a little bit closer to, or deeper, I should say, in these layers, right? And of the analogy of the cake, right? And you're trying to understand him on a deeper level. You're also trying to get him to go deeper within himself in a way that forces him to respond to you or answer questions that he, or say things about himself that he probably wouldn't be talking about on a very first date, simply because you're asking him, well, what is the why and what is the how? Someone said give an example. I gave an example earlier, but I'll give you another example. Even if he says something like, oh, I work a sales job. Well, why? I work a sales job because it makes me some good money. Well, why don't you work a different job that can make you a lot of money? Well, the sales job I got in through school, and when I went to school, that was just the most common thing. Well, how come you didn't choose a different field? Well, I don't know, my parents always, just told me that, sales would probably be the best thing for me. Well, how come you just did what your parents told you? How come you didn't do what you wanted? What is it that you want to do? Right? And you see how when you introduce why and how to your follow-up of your questions, you can start going deeper and deeper and deeper. And you can go from talking about how much he loves football to how, he feels about the fact that he never got to spend any time with his father watching games. And it's something that makes him really feel really connected to his family that he wants with his son, right? You see, like after a while, understanding how to use follow-ups properly in every situation, you'll see how you get to go so deep in the layers of a human being. And once you're going to this level of depth, you stand out so much more in his mind. As you're standing out so much more in his mind, because you're asking the questions and answers are so much more intimate, now all of a sudden you're bringing a much deeper emotional connection between the two of you. For something as simple as asking why and how. Instead of thinking about how you're going to talk about the next topic or switch the topics, right? You just focus on, okay, give me the reasoning. Give me the, how did this work? What came from this? Why did this happen, right? Why and how is kind of a question that a lot of people don't even ask themselves. So when you ask them that question, some people might think, well, what is the why and what is the how? You know what I mean? And that's good. It's good for people to be around you and be forced to go just a little bit deeper, okay? Now, do you guys have any questions about what we just discussed? Any of these 6 here? I will answer any of the questions you guys have about how to make men fall in love with just, not even with just yours, without talking, okay? If that makes any sense to all of you. Someone says, beautiful drawing of a cake. Is my drawing getting better? Is my drawing getting better? Okay. Nor says, so let them talk about themselves. Yes, but you're doing it in a strategic way where you're letting them talk about themselves, but you're making sure that they're doing it in a way where this is about, you're also creating mystery within yourself, because you're just not talking so that they can turn you into a trauma dump best friend. You're not talking so that you can create some interest in you, some intrigue and some mystery. And that's why you have to be gauging certain things like I talked about earlier in the show. And that's why you have to be, even when you do answer questions, answering them a specific way that is most advantageous to you and what you're trying to do. Okay, right? Nor says, listening seems like the key. It is, but even in listening, there's a strategic way to go about this, right? Gloria says, what if he wants to return the question? I answered that. In my previous point about prep, that's exactly why you want to make sure that even when you're going on your dates and you're knowing you're going to ask all these great, amazing questions, you make sure you prepare your answers as well, so that when you're getting those reversed back onto you, you're able to answer efficiently instead of rambling and being confused because you're like, oh, that's a really deep question. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what to say about that, right? And you're able to give direct answers in a way that seems like you're being very open, but also doesn't get you, in the realm of like giving him all the details on everything and then you're never getting any answers yourself, okay? By the way, for any of you who are watching on the TikTok stream and you want to rewatch some of the points that I discussed earlier, go onto my YouTube channel, which is right above my head on the screen there. It's just my name, Tomisin. Once you type it in on YouTube, you'll see me live on YouTube at the same time as I'm live on TikTok. And then you can rewind the entire live stream and watch all the points exactly as I said them, okay? Bianca says, I'm just questioning if he likes to be asked all this. Are you talking about me? Like me? Well, guys, you have to understand, any human being finds the most fascinating conversation to be about themselves, because who do you think every human being spends the most time with? Themselves. Who do you think every human being sees in the mirror every day? Themselves. So I say all that to say, to a certain extent, we're all self-absorbed in the sense that if you start asking someone about what interests them, if you start asking someone about their life, if you start asking someone about what they're doing or what they want, right, that's when they're going to light up the most. If you just sit there and talk about yourself, yeah, you'll feel closer to that guy, but he's not necessarily going to feel closer to you. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get men wrapped around your finger while still holding a lot of your mystery and aura, as the kids say, okay? Let me scroll up here. I seen a question from LP Baby. She said, question for point number 3. Guy I'm seeing wants to know all the mundane details about my day so he knows not to take things personal when I become super busy. Is this normal / fine to give him details? I don't mind you giving a guy who wants to know what you're doing at a particular time. I don't mind you telling him what you're doing at a particular time. However, I don't want you to see, what you're referring to is a guy asking you to ease his anxiety. He would rather know what you're doing at each moment of the day so he doesn't have any anxiety as to why you're not responding. Ironically, I actually don't want you to solve that problem for him, simply because it's okay if a guy has a little anxiety that you're not messaging him back instantly. That's perfectly fine, because you want to know what that does? It keeps him on edge a little bit. See, you have to understand, with human beings and people, there are some things that you give someone when they ask for that, and there are some things that you understand even though you ask for that. I will listen, I will make you feel heard and understood, but I will continue doing what I've been doing, because I know if I actually change the way I approach things, your response to me will change. And as you become more mature, you'll get a better sense of which one is which. But trust me, in some cases, you just need to hear people out, make them feel heard, and not change a thing. That is one of those cases. When men try to tell you, please solve my anxiety because I just want to know every second of the day, tell me what you're doing so that I don't ever have to overthink and this and that. The reality of it is, it sounds good to do that for him, but I promise you, when you do that for him, he will seem less interested in you. Why? Because he has all the answers. He doesn't have to have anxiety if he knows what you're doing at every second of the day. So when you finally do that for him, now all of a sudden he's asking less questions. Now all of a sudden he's texting you less. Now all of a sudden he's calling you less, so you don't get the response that you wanted from him, right? So you see how sometimes you just gotta let them feel heard. Let them tell you what they feel. Oh, I understand what you're saying. I understand why you need this. I understand why it's important to you. And then keep it the same, okay? Not everything, but some things are like that, okay? Regina says, we text on our days off, but at work we cannot. I have known him 2 years. Recently, we have become besties. What do I do? I like him. So, okay. If you're saying that you guys have become besties and you're saying that you like him, that makes me feel like, also, thank you for the $5 donation, Regina. I appreciate that. If you guys have become besties, but you're also saying that you like him, that makes me feel like he chose to make you a bestie and you have just accepted that. In which case, you're wasting your own time. Which means you need to, for your own peace of mind, you need to be in one position or another with a guy. Anytime a guy says, look, I'm not ready to commit to you, I'd rather just have you as a friend, I can't really do a thing where we're romantic, you need to make a decision where you say, okay, fine. If you don't want romance with me, if you don't want a relationship with me, you will not get any of me, okay? That is such an important distinction to make as a woman, because one of the easiest mistakes or traps to fall into is if a guy says, yeah, I'm not ready to be with you, I don't have the time, I don't have the patience, that's just not where I'm at. One of the easiest mistakes to make is to say, okay, well, I'll just be around then. And we can just be kind of cool, kind of vibing, and hopefully one day your mind will change. That's the easiest way to make sure a guy's mind never changes, because for him, he still has you in his life despite not committing to you. If you really want to inspire change, you have to be completely gone, 100% gone, so that he can say to himself, damn, my life is a lot worse without her in my life. And if I want to change that, then I'm going to have to actually commit to her. You see, you force men to make a decision that way. So Regina, what you're referring to is a very bad situation for you, because you're not actually forcing him to make a decision. In fact, the best decision for him in that scenario is to keep you around as a friend he can talk to, keep you around as a friend he can confide in, keep you around as someone who can boost his confidence, And, he's going to take that confidence and he's going to go and flirt with other girls. Because what are you going to do when you're hanging out with him? Tell him things like, oh, you're so handsome. Oh, you're an amazing guy. Oh, you're this, you're that, you're smart, you're intelligent. You're boosting him up. And he's not even taking that confidence to take you out. He's taking that confidence to go take someone else out. And then you're sitting there, looking like Boo Boo the Fool after instilling confidence in a man who don't even want you. Okay? I don't want that for you. Someone says, I am Tomisin's biggest supporter. What did I miss? I just came here. Someone please tell me. You go over to the YouTube channel. Go over to the YouTube channel. It's just my name. And you can rewind it. You'll get all of the information there. Does that make sense? Someone says, I'm mysterious with men. And all of them complained about saying, I want some clear as a crystal glass person. Marlboro, please. This is another one of those things that I talked about before. Some things, when men tell you they want this thing, you just have to say, I understand what you mean, and not change a thing. Because the reality of it is, men might complain about you being too mysterious, but in reality, they respond the best to the women who are the most mysterious. Okay? Trust me, I'm a man. You guys know I'm like a human being, right? I'm not an AI. So I'm telling you this as a man. When women are too overly communicative and they over-explain about everything in their life, they tell you everything before you even ask, it's an immediate turnoff. Because how can I be curious about you if I have nothing to be curious about? You're already telling me things and answering questions that I haven't even asked you. You're saying things that I don't even care to know. And now, as you're over-explaining and over-communicating, I'm feeling quite bored. I'm feeling quite unstimulated, and my pee-pee is quite soft. You want to know when men's pee-pee is the hardest? When you're not giving them answers. And they have to work for those answers. And they have to try and understand you. And they have to chase after you. And there's so much mystery involved. That's when their pee-pee is rock solid. So if you want a man's pee-pee rock solid, then you hold some mystery. Okay? If you want him to be super soft, then tell him everything before he ever even asks. Then that's how you get that. Okay? Very easy to get it that way. Okay? Someone says, Tomisin, I went on a date and he told me I speak too much and ask too much questions. Well, both of those can't be true at the same time. If you're talking too much, then that means you're not asking questions. Because if you're asking a lot of questions, then that subsequently means he's talking a lot, which means you're not. So it can only really be one of the two. That guy's probably confused if he's saying it's both. It's either you talk a lot or you ask a lot of questions. I always get you ask a lot of questions, okay? That's me. I get that a lot, which I don't give a damn, okay? That's how I am. I ask a lot of questions because I get a lot of answers, all right? Becca says, my guy is selling his house in another state and looking for a house in my state so we can have a relationship. You must got that thing on you, okay? He's moving to another state for you just to be with you. You must got that thing on you, Rebecca. I'll just say it like that, okay? I'll just say it like that. Someone says, no, he is also not talking a lot. He told me I talk too much. If that's the case, then you need to start asking more questions so that he can talk more. Because two things are happening simultaneously. One, he's getting more unattracted to you because you're talking so much. You're feeling closer to him when you're talking a lot, and he's not feeling very close to you because he's not sharing anything. So that's not good. And number two, you're not learning a lot about him, how his mind works and what he wants, because you're the one sharing so much, right? So it works in multiple senses where it's very bad if you're doing too much talking. We want it to be damn near like a 70-30, okay? 70% him yapping, 30% you yapping, because you keep your mystery, you stay in control, and you don't do any of the trauma dumping. Even if he starts trauma dumping on you, it's still good because you're in a position of power. Instead of being in a position of you're sharing so much information about yourself that he could use against you, that he could, use to hurt you, that he could use to get close to you and sleep with you without actually being the guy that you're looking for. All of that is bad, okay? Getting guys to be the one doing all the talking, very good. Very good for you in a lot of senses, right? Sam says, what if he's guarded and doesn't like talking about himself because he is an avoidant? Trust me, Sam N, and anyone else who is wondering this or thinking this, every human being is capable of opening up as long as you put the right things in place and you set the stage for the right environment for someone to open up. You want to know how I know that? Because police investigators, they have the hardest job getting people to open up, and they still do it. when they are solving a unaliving case and they're bringing suspects into the police station to solve an unaliving case, you know that sometimes they actually bring the person who did the unaliving into the police station. The person who did the unaliving knows they did the unaliving, and the police officer suspects that that person did the unaliving. But you want to know what they don't say the first time that person sits down in that chair, even if they have a hunch that they did it? They don't say, "Did you do the unaliving on 36th Street? Was that you at 3:55 p.m. on your cousin for this reason?" They never say that. What they say is, "Hey, what's your name? How you doing? How you been? What's your day been like? You went to work today? Oh, how was that? You like your job? You like your family? How's your family life? How you feeling? Like, what's your mental health like?" They ask them all this stuff to set a stage and to create an environment of comfortability where someone feels like, oh, even though you're a stranger, like you care about me. The police officer will even say things like, "I'm here to help John. Me and you, we just got to solve this thing together. I know it's probably just a misunderstanding. I don't want to take your time up at work. You know, we just want to get to the bottom of this. I know you're a class X citizen. You've never had any issues. We just want to kind of figure a couple of things out that maybe you could help us with." Have you ever noticed how police officers talk to people who they know are suspects and make them feel like, "Me and you, we friends. Like, I'm here to help you. I want to clear your name." They'll even say things like, "Hey, I want to make sure I clear your name because I know you're not a part of this. We just want to get to the bottom of a couple of things, just a couple of, silly questions, nothing serious, right?" And then they'll proceed after they ask you all these questions to be like, "Perfect, we've got our confession. All right, guys, wrap it up here. We got him," right? That's how they do that. So I say all that to say there's a psychology to being able to get people to open up. So if you're feeling like you're banging your head against the wall because this guy's not opening up, what I want you to do rather than just saying, "Oh, he's not capable of opening up," is to ask yourself, how do I create a more comfortable environment for him to tell me about himself? Because trust me, if a police investigator can train himself to be able to do it on people who are suspects for unalivings, and they know, and that person knows that they did it, and they still end up confessing, I promise you, with the man that you're dating, it's possible to get him to open up. You just have to understand how to set the right stage and the right environment. Okay, someone said smooth operator. It's very possible. And I actually want you to be happy and excited that it's a skill that you can train. Because that means it's not like, oh, you just have to be born with it or not, right? It's something that you can work on over the course of time, and you'll be like, "Damn, I'm really getting better at this." And as you get better, it'll become easier and easier and easier. Okay, you can become a pro too. This is just a matter of time as long as you do the work. Flower says, yes, cops get the psychos to talk, to run their mouth, open up, act like pals. Very encouraging, leading them on. We learned from the cops. Who knew? There's psychology to a lot of things, especially in police work. There's a psychology to the way you talk to people to get them to feel comfortable, like this is a safe space. And the craziest part about it, don't tell anyone I told you, right? It doesn't even actually necessarily have to be a safe space, in the sense that, yes, you can still judge them, and yes, you're still allowed to make the decision that if they tell you things that you don't want it, that you don't like, that you can then turn around and say afterwards, "Yeah, I'm glad you told me all that stuff and it was a safe space. I'm not going to tell anyone that I'm never dating you again." Okay, right? You can still get the information, and after you get the information, decide that you don't want to be with this person or around this person. So don't be in fear like, "Oh my gosh, if I get this information, that means I have to like promise him or promise myself that me and him are going to..." No, that's not what that means, right? But you're creating an environment where he feels comfortable sharing with you and being honest with you, okay? LP Baby says, "Are you the feds?" I am not, okay? I'm just good at understanding people, that's all. Someone says, "Do you have any advice for someone that's divorced?" Well, it depends on what's your situation, right? By the way, if any of you have a personal question for me that's unrelated to today's show, or just very detailed in its subject matter, go ahead and go to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube, and click where it says private relationship advice. You can ask me a personal question that way. You type it out, and as many details as you want, you submit it to me, and then I respond with a voice message to you that's usually 8 to 10 minutes long. And I get right to the nitty gritty of your situation, give you advice on it or perspective on it if that's what you need. Because I know some of you don't understand, like, why would he do this? Why would he respond to me this way? Why would he text me this? Why would he ghost me like this? And so I try my best to answer those personal questions for you in that way. So make sure you hit that link in my TikTok bio or in my description for the private relationship. Okay?
About the signs that you have found the one. So if you find a guy who checks yes to pretty much most of these, then marry him. He's the one. Okay, the first is he loves your good qualities and accepts and embraces the bad without making you feel guilty for having flaws. You don't need to hide your true self from him. You don't need to mold yourself to be what you think he wants. You can share your true self. You can be vulnerable and you feel safe doing so. You don't feel like any of this will be weaponized against you. Number 2, he's there for you even when it's inconvenient for him. This is important because it's easy to be the perfect partner when everything's going great, when everyone's schedule is in sync, when there's no problems, when you're on your best behavior, when it's just smooth sailing. But that's not the reality of the situation. What is it like when the storm comes through? How does he react when things get tough? What is he like when he has to make a sacrifice in order to be there for you?
Okay, your most recent relationship, chat, tell me, how long did it take for you guys to have your first fight? Okay, I really want to know this because the first fight is probably the most pivotal point in your relationship. Like, I'm talking about the first big fight. How long into the relationship did it take for you guys to have your first big one?
Now that's what you need to look at. Number 3, he factors you in. This reminds me of the breakup scene, one of the breakup scenes between Carrie and Big in Sex and the City before he moves to Paris. And she's like, why is it so hard for you to factor me into your life in any real way? The right guy for you factors you in. He considers you. He treats you as a partner, as a vital part of his life and a vital part of his decision making. Number 4, he's growth oriented. No one is perfect. You will not find the perfect man, so stop looking. Look for a man who is growth oriented, a man who wants to work on himself, who wants to be better, who prioritizes that. And I always find it to be a huge red flag anytime someone says that they don't believe in therapy. So watch out for that.
It's funny. These kind of go together. See, growth, I agree, because you're not going to meet someone who's absolutely perfect. That's just impossible. But if they're not willing, if they don't have a growth mindset, then it probably means that they either are, 1, complacent, or number 2, they don't think that they have things to change or adjust. So it's funny. I asked the question about how long it took for you guys to have your big fight. The big fight will tell you so much about that person and how they're most likely going to treat you on an ongoing basis in the relationship. Because the reality of it is, like, you're not going to be in the honeymoon phase forever with someone. And if they treat you really nasty on that, nasty not in a good way, if they treat you really nasty in that first big fight and you see a completely different side of them, that's not that's not an anomaly, is what I should say, in the sense that, like, don't think that that's a one-off situation. They just got mad at me, so they said something or did something that they would never do. Because what you'll realize down the line is that first fight will resemble a lot of your fights in the future. So, and it can be your first big fight in the sense of, like, the first time we really disagreed on something, where it wasn't like, let's have seafood or let's go get sushi. Right? Seafood and sushi are kind of the same thing. You get what I mean, right? Like a real, actual, proper disagreement, and seeing how he treats you and how the relationship goes or doesn't go after that big fight, right?
Number 5, common beliefs and values. A relationship cannot survive on chemistry alone. You have to have fundamental compatibility. If he's going to be your life partner, you have to make sure you are on the same page when it comes to important life choices, like when it comes to where to live, whether or not to have kids, how many kids to have. Are you a saver or...
Where to live is so important, right? Where to live is so important. Some people mistake it because it's something easy to just not look forward to. Okay, I'll let some of you know this, right? When you ask a guy what occupation he has right now, you should also ask him what occupation he wants to have in the future. You might be dating a personal trainer, and he might say, yeah, I personal train here in Toronto for now, but I want a personal train in Miami in the future. Are you planning on living in Miami? Because if you're not, you probably shouldn't even bother continuing to date this guy.
Our spender, what kind of lifestyle do we want to have? Are we on the same page politically, religiously, if that matters to you? You have to figure out what your values are and make sure that you are aligned. And if he is aligned, great. If not, is he willing to work on it? Are you willing to work on it? Are you willing to compromise? If not, then you're wasting your time here. Number 6.
I 100% agree. Let's go to our next one.
But I'm changing. I am changing.
Oh, we did this one. We did this one.
I've only ever dated golden.
I am.
We do this one.
I've only ever dated golden retrievers, so these are my secrets. You need to be so busy and so.
We did this one already too.
I am. I am this close to re-downloading any and all of the dating apps.
Why though?
Part of me is like, Megan, you're not going to get anywhere if you don't put yourself out there on these apps specifically.
What? You don't think you'll get anywhere unless you put yourself out there on the apps. Not real life, on the apps.
And the other half of me is like, but Megan, it seems like they've never worked for you in the past, so why would they work for you in the future? And then a third half of me, I know the math doesn't make sense. That's girl math for you. The other half of me is like, just trust God, which I really am trying. I'm really trying, but I'm struggling. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Anyway.
Okay, let me give you guys some real advice, okay? Because you guys know I'm a guy, so I'll tell you how guys think, but sometimes when I say it, it's gonna hurt your feelings. I'm gonna give you some real stuff. It's not for me to be mean. It's just for me to give you some realness so that you can take it in and decide what you want to do with it. Are you ready? Are you all prepared? Okay. If you are someone who struggles with people judging you based on how you look in a negative sense, meaning if you feel like, let me just put it like this. If you feel like if people got to know you first before seeing you, they would be much more attracted to you. If you feel like that happens to you a lot, my advice is stay far away from dating apps. Stay far away from dating apps. Don't download them. Don't look at them. Don't think about them. Don't even talk about them. Stay far away from them. Because if you're already someone who feels like you're at a disadvantage because people have to see you before they get to know you, then dating apps are the absolute worst thing that you could be doing with your romantic life. Because what you should be doing is putting yourself in a position where right as someone sees you, they're already getting to know you and they don't get a chance to build their preconceived notions about you because your amazing, awesome personality is already shining through, right? And they get to like kind of see how bubbly and amazing and fascinating and interesting you are as a human being before they just judge you solely based on your looks. I'll just be super real with you because the reality of it is if you're not going to be self-aware about that, what's going to happen is you put yourself out on the dating apps. And then as soon as you do that, all of those men are solely judging you based on how you look in a picture. They're not even really seeing you. They're just basing how the angles look in that one or the couple of pictures that you post on your profile. And so if you're already struggling with getting people to see you for who you really are and see past your looks, then you're only making it harder for yourself because all of these men, all of their first impression is coming solely based on your looks, right? So keep that in mind as well. If you feel like that's part of your struggle, then definitely stay far away from apps so that people can get to know the essence of you instead of just judging you by what you look like, okay? I hope that makes sense to all of you.
I'm not going to hold your hand when I say this because they look sticky, but it's psychologically impossible, energetically impossible, physically impossible to find yourself in a situationship.
Why would my hands look sticky though? Sorry.
Unless at least one person has compromised self-esteem and one person has compromised integrity. I'm going to repeat that again for the folks who want to fight me. It is psychologically impossible to find yourself in a situationship unless at least one person has compromised self-esteem and one person has compromised integrity. And before you say something like, but no, Blue, he's a good dude, I'm a good person, I'm a boss-ass bitch, it's just complicated. What does that have to do with what I just said? I didn't say you weren't a good person. This is not about being a good person. It's about the strength of your character, or in this case, the lack thereof any. Let's get into it. Now, for anybody who does not know what a situationship is, I got you, right? A situationship is an ambiguous romantic entanglement. in which at least one party finds themselves constantly feeling dismayed and or unfulfilled. They want more than what they're getting, right? And a lot of times when I say this definition in my classes, the first pushback I get is, but Blue, it's not ambiguous. You said it's an ambiguous romantic entanglement. It's not ambiguous. Technically, they knew what it was and they agreed to this. Pause, right? I teach about ego death. Pause. Only people who lack integrity rely on technicalities to make up for their lack of compassion. People who have a strength of character, who actually care about their impact on others, don't need to rely on technicalities to do the right thing. The example that I always give to explain why technicalities cannot be used to override having any sort of compassion or care about your fellow man is, imagine you're at a party with a friend. You're not best friends, but you're decent friends. And you see that this person looks like they've been drinking a lot. And as they grab their keys to leave the house, you say to them, hey friend, are you good to drive home? And they say, yeah, I'm good to drive home. I'm fine. But as they're saying it, you're noting their nonverbal, because communication is over 90% nonverbal. You're seeing that they have bloodshot eyes, they smell like alcohol, they're slurring their words, they're swaying back and forth. Even though they technically told you that they were okay to drive themselves home, what are you going to do if you're a decent person when you see that their words are not aligning with their actions? What are you going to do when you realize that somebody that you care about in any capacity is about to do something that's obviously harmful? In the example that I gave, most of us would intervene for obvious reasons. We want to stop someone from causing themselves unnecessary harm due to an altered and compromised mental state. I just described what it's like when someone with low self-esteem is in a situationship. Instead of being drunk on alcohol, they're drunk on low vibrational attachment masquerading as love. And the person who lacks integrity now is the sober person who recognizes that they are getting something from someone that they have not earned and probably don't deserve. Instead of taking away the keys from a drunk driver, the equivalent would be stepping away and clearing the path for that person who's catching feelings to find someone who actually deserves them. So why don't we do that? Why do we rely on technicalities? Ding, 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 lack of integrity. And because I am very sex positive, I want to very specifically speak to my free love girlies, right? The girls who are like, no, Blue, I just, I think it's real sexy and provocative to like make out with my friends and have no reasonable boundaries to keep people safe. I just think it's cute and sexy. Pause, sis. I need you to understand, from your big sis at my big age, there's nothing sexy or provocative about feasting on scraps and sitting around hoping that someone will get so tired that they'll pick you as their last resort. That is...
Yeah. Okay, so she said a lot there, a lot of which I do agree with. Now, here comes the second punch in the face or slap of cold water or splash of cold water, is that even though this is all great, that, people would have integrity and people would realize that they're taking advantage of you, that you're the person who's like, quote unquote, drunk on alcohol or drunk on love in this case, and low vibrational attachment, like she eloquently said. The reality of it is the men don't care. This is a great video, but the men don't care about having integrity. They don't. They don't care about treating you right. They don't. They care about getting what they want and what they're trying to accomplish here. Anything outside of that is very, very, very irrelevant to them. In a perfect world, these men would have integrity and care about what you want and how they make you feel. I'm here to tell you that they don't. I know it's sad. I know it's painful, but they don't. And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't want you to have in your mind that the man is supposed to save you from yourself. No. You're supposed to save you from yourself. And if you find yourself giving a lot to a man who's doing nothing for you, you're supposed to pick yourself off the floor and realize that you're wasting your time, because I'll be lying to you if I try to create a scenario in which the men will somehow realize that and change that. I know some of you ask me this question all the time. Well, Thompson, why don't you coach the men? Why don't you tell the men this? Why don't you make a video for the men? Make a video for these men and teach them how to act and teach them how to love and teach them how to... You want to know what would happen if I made videos for the men on how to love women right, on how to treat them with respect, on how to do this for them and do that for them? Those videos would get a cumulative 0 views. No one would hear me, and I wouldn't have any time to share any information with you. So you wouldn't get me, and no one would even watch me, okay? The reason I say that is because what men care about and what you care about is 2 different things. You care about having a long-term serious relationship, which I applaud you for, and I'm trying to help you do that. And a romantic relationship. See, men want that also. Some of them do. But what they want even more than that is they want access to women, which is exactly why when men talk to other men, and in order to speak a man's language, they speak to them in order to help them understand how to access more women, whether that be getting a faster car, getting a bigger house, making more money, having more resources, having better game, having better looks, going to the gym. Men are teaching men how to access more women. That is the crux of the motivation that men have. So I'm saying all that to say, when we're talking about having integrity and all this good stuff, it sounds good in a movie script, but in reality, men care about accessing more women. And so if you are a great opportunity of someone who will allow themselves to be accessed for very little work or very little effort, men will take that opportunity because that is their highest motivation, even honestly more than having a romantic relationship, because not every man is going to want necessarily a romantic relationship. Every man, straight man, wants to access women in one way, shape, or another. So just never forget that when you're going out into your dating life. I know we all love to live in a perfect, amazing world in which everyone does the right thing all the time, but I'd be lying to you if I tried to convince you that that's the world we actually live in, because it's not. And I want to teach you how to strategize and maneuver around the world we actually live in, not an ideal world, okay? I don't even want to complain about the world we live in. I just want to figure out how we can get solutions here, okay? That's all I care about.
I'm sorry for everything, and I still love you.
Shut the fuck up, Dom. Shut up with the fucking sorries already, okay? Enough.
Okay. I'll let you know how it all goes.
I don't fucking care, Tom. I've wasted enough of my life. I don't want you calling me anymore. Oh my God, please. It's fucking done, okay? Leave me alone. Seriously, fuck you. Go fuck yourself, you fucking piece of fucking shit.
I take it a step further. I wouldn't do that because that's giving people too much energy. What she just did here is a little bit of a mistake. It's a blunder in my estimation.
I don't fucking care.
When you're doing all this, you're giving men energy. So whether they're a narcissist or whether they're just a blood sucking leech, an energy sucking leech, you're giving someone energy when you respond to them like this. The best response would either just to be simply hang up the phone or to simply just be like, no, I'm not going to see you. I'm not going to come hang out with you. Why? Because I don't want to. Simple as that. Why don't you want to? I just don't care to. Simple as that. They keep asking why. Can you do this? Can you? No, I can't. No. Are you done? Okay. You said your piece. You said everything you need to say. Okay, then I'm going to go. And you leave them with nothing. That's the best way to deal with a narcissist or an energy sucking leech. You give them nothing because then they have nothing to work off of. You want to know? So if I were to put myself in the shoes of a narcissist, okay? You want to know what I would do with this? I'd be like, oh, okay, there's still something there. Because for you to respond like that, you're feeling something, even if it's hatred, right? You understand, narcissists can work with hatred. Do you know that, right? They can work with hatred. That's a strong emotion. They need some sort of strong emotion to grab onto that. Then they can work with that, right? They can maneuver around that as long as they can get you emotional. Now, if they have no strong emotion to work with, then they're grasping for straws. It's like, think of it like a spider climbing up a wall, right? If the wall is smooth If there's no grip, there's no surface to the wall there, then there's nothing to grip onto. There's nothing to climb onto. But as soon as you show them that emotion, now all of a sudden there's grooves that he can hang on to and climb up your emotional ladder, so to speak, okay?
Literally, she says, I got a good job. I make very, very good money. And she says, the only thing I need now is a man. It's like, yo, it's like, who wants you? Who wants you? You're right. Like, once you have achieved these things, you have unfortunately disqualified yourself.
Ooh,
and
shit.
And what it is these, and this is the thing. I'm not blaming
the
women.
Women are going to hate him for that shit.
No,
They are going to hate him for that. I can't wait to put this shit out.
Number one, what does it mean for us to have all these conversations about what do you bring to the table? The woman say she bring everything and you say, I don't want you no more. What does it mean? Number two, women exceeding expectations and being all they can be is not a negation of your manhood or masculinity. If you feel that way, it is show that your shit is fragile. Number three, as a college professor, you know that studies show that female college students will literally dim their light in order to appeal to their male counterparts because they recognize that men's fragile masculinity will make you wear it. Man, I don't get to feel like a man if you know more than me, head ass. Number four, y'all make all dudes with podcasts look like some misogynistic ass suckers, bro. And speaking of suckers, that takes me to number five, man. What y'all just seen was an illustration of sucker solidarity, where you have grown-ass men trying to appeal to other suckers by demeaning women. Sucker solidarity. Number six, y'all want to go back to the past so bad, because how dare a woman be high achieving? You want to go back to the times when women had to have a man to have a bank account and have a house and be able to pay bills, huh? Just say that. Number seven, I'm convinced that Jeff Bezos and the CIA is dropping down all these podcast mics to the...
Did he just say Jeff Bezos? Okay.
plantation patriarchs to be able to bite back on some of that unity that we was able to get in 2020. Number 8, I'm having a hard time believing that a woman told him, I've achieved all these things, I make this money, I just need a man. I'm having a hard time believing that. It sounds like you just trying to make a point. What university or school did everybody go to over the pandemic that made them relationship gurus now? What's the university called?
I don't know. I didn't go to that one. Anyways, so here's the thing about, I want to address what he said here. And women disqualifying themselves for being high earning. Okay. I think that I'm not him, so I can't speak for what he was trying to say. But in my estimation, the way I receive that is when a woman becomes really successful in her career, then what she's looking for in a man changes drastically and the bar moves up very high. And as she becomes more and more successful, the bar moves up higher and higher for the type of man she's looking for. Because if you think about it, as she becomes more and more successful, her version of a masculine man that can take care of her is like even more and more successful than her, or doing even better, that she's not necessarily the breadwinner. She's not, you know what I mean? Like, she's not taking on a role of like being better in all aspects of her career than her man. So if she's looking for a man who has even as equal as her or even more than her in terms of success in his career as well, then as she goes up, then her, I guess you can say, addressable pool, her dating market, her dating pool gets slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, which I don't think that makes them less attractive. I just think it makes your dating pool smaller, because as a woman, you're probably not going to be looking for men who are like way below you or way beneath you, unless you want a relationship in which you're like the breadwinner and you're doing a lot of the working and your man is like staying home. If you're looking for a relationship that represents, you and your feminine energy, him and his masculine, he's more of the breadwinner than you, even though you're still working, then you're probably looking for higher and higher earners as time goes on, which is fine. Your dating pool gets a little smaller, small price to pay for your success, okay? I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just an understanding of like, as your life changes and as you change, whether it be as a woman or a man, your dating pool and your dating preferences will change as well. I don't think that makes you less attractive. I think that so for example, a woman who makes 6 figures is less attractive to the average broke man, because how is he going? I wouldn't say less attractive in the sense of how is he possibly going to get a woman who is beautiful and successful and make 6 figures when he's broke? It's basically impossible. So when he's saying replace less attractive with less likely to get access to, okay? Women who are high earning and beautiful and successful are less likely for most men to get access to them, which I'm sure probably frustrates them, but it is what it is. I think if it bothers you that much, then you probably just got to get your bread up. It's really that simple.
When a man asks you in the early stages of dating if you're seeing other guys, if you're seeing anyone else, honestly, it's a trap. Because if you say yes, you are seeing other men, he could just start getting competitive and not actually see you as the person you are, but as someone that he wants to win from these other men because he doesn't want them to be with you. He wants you to be with him. You know what I'm saying? And if
I love this. I'm going to give you guys the perfect answer to this afterwards.
you tell him that you're not seeing anyone else and he's the only person that you're focused on and that you're interested in at this point in time, he might get a bit arrogant. He might get a bit lazy. He might start taking you for granted because he knows there's nobody else available. Nobody else apparently wants you, so he doesn't have to put in that much effort. So if a man does ask you this question, honestly, you do not need to answer, first of all. You can coyly redirect the conversation, or you can just tell someone point blank, I don't feel comfortable sharing that with you because I don't really know you yet, and I'm excited to get to know you, hence why I'm here on this date with you.
No, don't do that. I'm going to tell you what to do. This is way better than this.
But questions about me and other men and other people are completely irrelevant at this point in time because aren't we trying to get to know each other?
No, that seems too secretive. I'm going to tell you what to do instead.
Question, lose. No matter what you say, if you answer it, it's not going to end well for you. So it's just best to not answer it at all, or just answer something completely random and bizarre. When a man asks you...
No, this is what you say instead. Okay, this is perfect. When a guy asks you, are you dating anyone else? You say, I always pick quality over quantity. When I get to the point where I feel like me and someone are aligned enough or on the same page enough, I like their vibe, I like the way they talk, I like the way we interact, I am always open to getting to know someone like that. But I'm never going to go on dates for the sake of going on dates. I'm only going to date someone if I feel like there's actual real potential here. Then you put yourself in a position where you could be dating more people. You also could be not dating more people, right? But you're still answering the question very directly. And remember how we talked about narratives earlier in the show? You're painting a very important narrative for yourself, which is that you are very picky and choosy with who you will even end up on a date with. So in the sense that you might be dating someone else, it will not be because you're just casually trying to be out here dating 30 men at once. It'll only be because you think that person is suitable at the time in which you go out on a date with them or you think has some potential. That picture, painting yourself that way, will actually paint you as very high value because you're not just saying yes to anything. You're saying yes to only things that make sense for you and for the lifestyle that you want to live. That selectiveness that you're approaching your dating life with is sending a very clear and important message to that guy. I'm only here with you because I think you fit the criteria of what I'm looking for. If you end up not fitting that, I'm not going to be dating you. And rest assured, if you can continue to show yourself to be quality, you will get access to me. But if you stop being quality, or I deem this to not be a quality experience, you'll stop getting access to me. Very simple. You're kind of indirectly telling him that in a way that's like, okay, I get what you mean. Okay, right? I understand. And if he says even after that, well, tell me, clearly, like straight up. So right now at this current moment, are you on a date with anyone else? Do you find anyone else fascinating, or are you seeing anyone else? Then you can say, then you can just answer truthfully, either yes or either, right now I haven't found anyone that looks or, has the quality level that I'm looking for. I've been asked on some dates. Right? So let's say your answer is no. I've been asked on some dates, but I haven't seen anyone who fits the quality of what I'm looking for. Now you're aligning with the same narrative. Even though you're saying no, it's not no because I don't have any vibes. It's no because I only date quality, right? And then if it's yes, you say, yeah, there are only a few people that have fit my criteria so far that I deem to be quality, which is why I only date a few. But the rest of the ones that ask me out, I don't date them. I don't bother dating them. Now you're painting the quality narrative, okay? Which is good because when you say quality and you keep that stuck in his mind, what he can't do is he can't twist it and say, oh, you're dating 30 people at once. No. I'm dating people who I deem to be quality. You have a problem with that? You have a problem with me being sure about what I want and being sure that people work for me or don't work for me? You have a problem with me being selective? It's impossible. How can a guy say that there's a problem with you being selective? So you kind of put him in a box where in the way that you paint a narrative, you paint it in such a way where either answer, what is he going to say to that? He's mad because you pick quality over quantity and you found some people that are quality, right? Or he's upset that or he's feeling all high and mighty because you say no to a lot of men and you don't date a whole bunch of men for no reason. You kind of put him in a box there.
So here are lies that guys will tell you and what they actually mean. If a guy ever says, oh, there's something happening with his buddy and he needs to go take care of him and he needs to go help him out, this is a for sure lie. First of all, guys never have these type of emotional conversations, so just write that off completely. Now, the truth is he probably is going to go hang out with that friend. But the hard pill to swallow is that he'd rather hang out with his friend than go hang out with you right now. I know, it sounds absolutely awful. But the truth is that guy probably just wants to have a laid back and relaxing night instead of being fully engaged and fully present going out on a date with you. Take this information for what it is. So here are...
Let me tell you, so what he just told you is basically, he didn't describe it this way, but he just told you an escape plan. One of the escape plans men use. Let me give you another, this is a pro tip, escape plan. So if you ever link up with a guy and let's say you're either going to his house or he's going to yours and you're wondering in your heart of hearts, does he want to link up with me only to smash, or does he want to link up with me because he's actually feeling a vibe here and he wants to spend time with me? This will also be another way to kind of judge that. Some guys, instead of pulling the, we sleep together, and then after we sleep together, I get a random phone call from my friend that needs to be addressed and I have to go pick him up from the airport or something like that. What some men will do is when you come to his house, I'm telling you, this is a pro tip, okay? Don't tell anyone I told you. When you come to his house, before you guys even start doing anything, while you're still watching Netflix, he'll actually prompt you with a thing that he has to attend or he might have to do later. So he might tell you something. I'll give you an example of that. He might be like, yeah, just letting you know, my friend, he's got a really important, thing to get to, and he might need me to drive him or not. I'm just kind of seeing how it plays out and seeing what he's going to say. So this will be before you guys sleep together. He'll say, yeah, I'm just not sure if my friend's going to need me later, but he's going to let me know in a little bit, but he probably won't need me. That's how he'll kind of paint it. Then you guys will sleep together. You'll do your thing. And then lo and behold, his issue that may or may not have to be attended to will need to be attended to right after you guys sleep together. And then that'll be his way of getting you either out of his house or leaving on you right after he sleeps with you in a way that kind of sounds like, like it's not even him because this was already a thing even before he got here. Pro tip for you, for any of you who are wondering if that's ever happened to you. Let me know in the chat if that's ever happened to you, okay? Let's hop into our next section of the show. A very, very amazing time and a very, very important time, okay? It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. If you don't know the time and you're new here, first of all the OG Players Club members are going to spam it in the chat. They better spam it in the chat because it's an awesome time. And if you're new here, you're in for a treat, okay? Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look anywhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Should I do it quiet or loud, chat? Quiet or loud? Which one? Scored time. Yeah. Okay. All right, chat. Enough silliness. Let's hop into our Discord section of the show. For those of you who are very confused here, I'm going to explain how this works. So Discord time is where all of the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question of their relationship or their situationship, and I answer it live on the show. Now, there are a few different ways in which you can submit your question to me. There's 3, actually. I'm going to explain. Why am I so low on the screen there? I'm going to explain all the different ways in which you can submit the question, all right? So the first way is in our free section. The way our free section works is it's a first come, first serve forum. Go to the link in my bio if you're watching on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says Players Club Discord and then enter the Discord. And then you can ask your question here in our free relationship advice forum here. Make sure you format it the way everyone else is formatting their messages. Now, I'll warn you, this is a first come, first serve forum. So you see how I'm scrolling here and all these highlighted messages. These are all messages I haven't yet gotten to. So you can see the oldest one is like 30 days old. So what that means is if you ask your question here today, it's obviously going to take me a couple of weeks to get to yours, simply because I have to keep it fair and I have to keep the queue going first come, first serve, right? So oldest question gets answered first. Now, if you are very impatient and you don't like waiting for your question to get answered because you don't have time to be waiting around and all that other stuff, you can also submit your question to me by going to the premium relationship advice forum. Now, the only way you're allowed to put your question in the premium relationship advice forum is if you first go to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube, click where it says premium Discord relationship advice. Then you're going to be prompted to donate to the show. In your donation, it's also going to make you send in your Discord username, right? And then also the title of what your question is going to be. Then when you send that in, I get a notification on my phone. I'm able to see your donation and see that that's you that has sent in that question. And then when I go through this, I know that your question is supposed to be here and you didn't just drop it in there just because you felt like it, okay? Now, for those of you who want to send me in a question, but you don't want your question to get read out live on the show because you're a more private person but you still want my advice or perspective, this is for you. This is our private relationship kind of hotline. This link here is available in the Discord. It's also available in the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. Click where it says private relationship advice. And then once you click that, you'll be prompted to type out your question, as many sentences and paragraphs as you want, and as many details. You send it in to me. Then once you send it in to me and submit it to me, I'm going to respond with a voice message. I'll send it back to the email that you're going to use to submit your question to me, and then you'll get your answer that way. My voice messages are usually 8 to 10 minutes long. I've had them as long as 20 minutes before, actually like 25 minutes before. It depends how long and detailed your question is, okay? But I'll make sure to answer anything that you want answered in that private question. And obviously no one will see your question except for me, okay? So let's look in here at the very first question in the show, a premium question here. This one comes from Magic Z. So need help with long distance dating. Hi, Tomisin. My name is Kat. Thank you very much for answering my question in advance. I asked the same question in your private relationship advice page, but I'm seeing this guy in 2 days, and I'm not sure if I can get your response before that. Okay, that's perfectly fine. What's today? Okay. So I am. The guy told me he was single, but I just found out he's married yesterday. Okay, you're not going on this date. You're not going on this date, Magic C. You're not going on this date. You're not going on this date. Let's continue reading. He still doesn't know I found that you're not going on this date. Are we clear that you're not going on this date? I hope you're hearing me correctly. So my new goal now has changed, hopefully to staying home, right? Right? To how to get him to give me allowance since now a relationship with him is not possible. No. Bad girl. You're not doing this. You're not doing this. Don't start this. Don't start this. I know what's going to happen. You're making an excuse for yourself that this is not about the man anymore. I'm just here for the money. I don't care about him. I'm not What's going to happen is you're going to go on the date with him. You're going to like the vibes that are going on. You're going to say, I'm only here for the money. It's not about anything else but the money. And then as time goes on and you're continuing to date him and you're continuing to see him, you're going to become more and more emotionally invested until you get to the point where now you don't just want the money, you want his love now. You want his attention now. And then you're going to resubmit a different question and you're going to say, how do I get this man to divorce his wife? That's not going to happen. I'm telling you this because I've helped hundreds of women who have asked me basically the exact same question. Everyone thinks they're going to be the first woman to only care about money and put it to compartmentalize and go on these dates with him and not care about nothing. It doesn't work like that. You're a human being with human emotions. You will not be able to do that. You're not just going to transition from a guy that you were finding romantically interesting to only caring about his money. It doesn't work like that. Background, I met this guy at a bar in a 5-star hotel in Miami. He's 48 years old, extremely successful / rich, a public figure in tech. I'm 28 years old, just finished 2 master's degree, and good looking, 7 out of 10 objectively. We saw each other 3 nights in a row when he was in Miami. Of course it was in Miami. I'm not surprised. Last time, what club did you, never mind. Last time, we kissed on the 3rd time, but no touching or pineapples at all. He did walk me home on the 3rd date and came up to my apartment. After I told him no pineapples, he left with a very sad face. I'm just imagining like a guy like walking home like in his like, you know, in Miami, they wear like the open shirt type of like loose shirt. You know what I mean? Like in his loose shirt with his shoulders down, sad because you didn't let him smash. Anyways, he travels for business all over the world and only comes to Miami 1 to 2 times a month. Yeah, to cheat on his wife. What? We're not on the same page? He comes to Miami just to cheat on his wife. He's not there to like do anything else but cheat on his wife. Are we confused? Since he left Miami 2 weeks ago, he texts me a lot every day and wants to FaceTime me every day. Well, probably not the days that he's with his wife, right? Except when he's home with his wife. Isn't it? You guys remember I'm a man, right? So you know I know how men think and how they go about life, right? I didn't even read that until she said that. Anyways, he lied to me that he has phone issues while at home with his wife. Yeah. But I reply to him very slowly. P.S. I'm seeing him when he's back to Miami in 2 days. He's here for 2 nights and he planned both nights with me. Oh, you think he's actually only going to see you? Oh, okay. Okay. Also, in the private relationship question page, the city is not Miami. I changed the city name for privacy reasons. So you changed the city name in the question you sent me, but here you're saying it's Miami because it's Miami. What? Okay. I wish you guys would just tell me the real thing, because saying the real thing just makes it a lot easier for context, right? I know you mentioned that we should be cold in texting and FaceTiming, but I'm concerned if I'm too cold, he might lose interest. And what? Go find someone else to cheat on his wife with? I'm going to spank you after this, okay? We're going to have this conversation. I'm going to spank you proper. Because he's busy and extremely successful. My goal is to get him to give me allowance money. So here are my questions. I'm gonna spank you well after this. In general, I wait for 30 minutes to an hour to reply to his messages. Sometimes 3 to 4 hours, seldomly reply fast. You think that you're doing something here, but when you take 3 to 4 hours to respond, he's probably now with his wife again. So he's not going to respond for multiple hours, until he's no longer with his wife. So you're like playing a game that is super pointless simply because it's like the times you think he's probably having anxiety, he's with his wife, and he probably doesn't want you to message him. Ideally, he would have it so that you message him as soon as he messages you, because that's when he's free. And when he's with his wife, you don't message him. So the game you think you're playing is not really a game, because he actually doesn't want you to message him when he's with his wife. And only take FaceTime calls if it's arranged. You think a married man's going to be arranging FaceTime calls with you? No spontaneous calls. What do you think this is? I can feel that he's a little frustrated and not as excited as before because he just wants to cheat on his wife in peace. I know it sounds horrible. All he wants is to sleep with you for free, have you be like a young, hot thing that he can spend some time with when he's in Miami. He is like, what do you mean he's not as excited as before? His excitement is only going to come if you can spread your butt cheeks wide open and allow him to penetrate you. That's when he'll be excited. Anything else, he's not going to get excited for. I'm not sure what you're expecting here. Is this a good strategy? No, it's a pointless strategy. Should I be nice and sweet and warm in FaceTime or only in person? You shouldn't see him at all. I told you I'm going to spank you, right? My text messages are cold and short, and I'm concerned they may come across off as dry and boring. Why are you concerned about how interesting or dry you come across to a guy who's married? Don't concern yourself with that. Also, should I always look beautiful, glammed up in these FaceTimes? How often should I take his FaceTime calls? Why don't you put all this effort either into yourself or into a man who's not in a relationship? I can't even. I'll save this to the end. He lied to me. He was hurt a lot by his gold digger ex. So what are you trying to do here? You just said you're only going to be with him for his money. And he's telling you he was hurt by his gold digger ex. And he's reluctant to give gifts. But in fact, he's married. So you're saying that that's not the case. It's just because he's married? After I found out yesterday that he's married already, I blocked him for 12 hours. And after I calmed down, I unblocked him. He didn't know that I blocked him and thought it was his phone's issues that I didn't get his messages. He got a little nervous. So now we are talking like before. I pretend that I haven't found out his marital status. Let's finish up your questions here. So my question is, in order to get allowance from him, what should my overall strategy be? My current strategy is treat him just like before and charm him now. Only bring up the fact that I know he's married already when he wants to progress our relationship to pineapples, and then asking him for allowance. Before that, don't give him any more access of me beyond a friend. What about kisses? Do you kiss all your friends? I tell you, boy. Should I still hang out with him on these 2 nights that he planned, or not even seeing him, ignoring him unless he's ready to give me allowance? What do you think of the strategy? Do you have any advice? All of this that you said here is a pointless waste of your time. Okay? Okay. I told you I'm going to spank you. Let me tell you what's actually happening here, because I'll just be real. I've seen this before, and I'm going to tell you what's actually happening, the psychology of what's actually happening. What's actually happening to you, Magic Z, is that you've come to a point where you feel played, okay? It hurts to feel played. It hurts to feel like, hey, I was vibing with you, I liked you, I thought we had a little thing going on, and now I realize this entire time you've been lying to me. You pulled the wool over my eyes. That hurts. It also hurts the ego as well, especially because you just mentioned you're a beautiful, attractive woman. You probably feel like I can have as many guys as I want. I can have any guy I want. No guy's going to play me, right? So your ego's involved now. Now that you found out that he's essentially played you, right, a little bit, because you're probably feeling a vibe, even though you didn't sleep with him yet, you're like, oh, you think you're going to play me? I'm going to get my one up on you. So you felt hurt a little bit. You blocked him. Then you said, no, I want to make the most of this. And in order for me to make the most of this, I want to get something from you. You think you're going to get sex from me? Well, I'm going to get money from you. Ha ha, you're going to be the idiot that gets played, not me. Your ego's what's attached to this now. So your ego is what's driving you and motivating you to go about it like this, because you want to feel like I got something out of this. I didn't get played. He's the one that got played, and I'm the one getting something out of this, right? Feels good to get the ego stroked like this. But the reality of it is, you have to understand something about the ego. The ego will waste a lot of your time, life, resources, and energy just to feel satisfaction that will not help you in any way, shape, or form outside of the ego being stroked. What I mean by that is, let's say hypothetically, right, that you do this correctly and you get money from him and he gives you a bit of an allowance, $1,000, $2,000, whatever the case may be. Okay. You get that allowance. How long do you really think that that's going to last for? Do you really think that for the rest of your life, you'll have this man who's not going to sleep with you, not going to get a kiss from you, and you're going to treat him like a friend? You think he's just going to be spending ravenous, crazy amounts of money on you like it's nothing? No. So you're going to do this for what? An extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 maybe? You'll spend it on some nice clothes. You'll go to some fancy dinners. And then what? What will you have after he gives you an allowance for 1 month, 2 months, even 3, 4 months? What will you have after you spend the money? You'll have nothing. You'll have no relationship. You'll have no man. He'll go back to his marriage. And all you'll have is some nicer bags and some nicer clothes and maybe a couple of dinners. Is it really worth it? Because factor this as well, okay? And I want you to be paying attention to this. Let's say during this time where you're getting and receiving an allowance from him, let's say you actually do meet a really great, amazing, awesome guy. And let's say he's actually single. He's mature, he's evolved, and he really wants you. Not only does he want you, he wants to make you his wife and his first wife and his only wife. But let's also say during that time where you're doing this whole complicated situation with this other guy, let's say he somehow finds out about the fact that you're getting allowance from this other guy that you're trying to use. And let's say that great guy that you meet says, oh, wow, I did want you and I did want to wife you and I did want to create a relationship with you. But now that I found out that you're doing this and you're getting allowance from this guy and you're doing this whole situation with him, I don't want to wife you anymore. I don't want anything to do with you, and I'm not taking you seriously anymore. Now answer the question, how much is it really worth that during this time which you're getting allowance from this guy, you have this huge secret that you're holding, that if a real nice, amazing guy actually finds it out, that has some self-respect, will say, I don't want anything to do with you. Not only will you eventually lose out on this married man because eventually he's going to stop giving you money, but you'll also lose out on the possibility of having that happy, healthy relationship with the actual man who will take you seriously, all just to get a little bit of money for a couple of months or weeks. So what is that really worth? When you have money for a couple of months or weeks, but you lose out on a lifelong relationship or the possibility of one because you're having an ongoing situation that will, I'll just be honest with you, any man who takes himself seriously and has any level of self-respect would never in a million years entertain you when you're doing this. Just be real with you. So understand, like, as you're getting money from this guy, you're also disqualifying yourself from amazing men who would actually respect you and treat you properly. And you might think you're going to be the first one to be able to keep a secret and no one's ever going to find out. Trust me, men cheat and they also think they'll never get caught. Do you know that, right? Men go out and they're promiscuous and they do things behind their girl's back too. And they also think they'll never get caught. They also think no one will ever find out. No one ever plans to get caught. So what I'm saying is, don't add something to your lifestyle. Don't add a secret to, yourself, that this is something that literally you're feeling like, hey, I am, going to do my best to avoid getting caught doing this because I know it'll ruin the possibility of me having a relationship. Because that'll give you so much anxiety that, first of all, you won't even be able to show up as your authentic self because you have so much anxiety of this guy finding this out about you. And number two, you're eventually going to get to a point where you slip up. And when you slip up and he finds out, it'll already be too late. Because then you're going to have to start explaining things away and you're going to have to start backtracking and you're going to start begging a man to appreciate you and want you again after realizing that. All of this is easily avoided if you just take your L. I know it sucks to feel played, but sometimes you just have to take your L and realize, look, hey, I thought he was a good guy. I thought we were having a vibe. He's married. Hey, you know what? Chalk it up to the game. It sucks to suck, but I'm going to move forward. And at least then when you move forward that way, you'll be able to meet a new man who will take you seriously and make you his first and only wife. Much better, at least. Okay? Your other question here, should I bring up the fact that I know he's married in person or by text when I use it as a bargaining chip to get an allowance? No, don't even see him. How to build up his desire to be with me physically so that he would give me a constant monthly allowance in order for me to not leave him. You're also forgetting, if you're dealing with a man who's willing to cheat, do you think that you're the only one he's willing to cheat with? So you're even in the crooks and the logistics of what you're asking, it doesn't make sense. You're thinking that you're going to get a man who is willing to cheat on his wife with any attractive woman to not be able to sleep with you, but still give you allowance despite not being able to sleep with you, when he can just go and cheat on his wife with a woman who will let him cheat for free. Because you're saying this is a bargaining chip as if you're the only attractive woman in Miami willing to allow him to cheat on his wife. I'm not saying this to diss you. I'm just saying this to like help you kind of bring you out of the delusion. Like you're thinking that he's going to see you as the only woman he would ever desire and want to be with, as if he actually like really wants to be wife you or something like that he would be willing to pay for your allowance even though you don't want to sleep with him. Why would he do that when he can just go to any club in Miami and find another 20-something-year-old woman who will not know that he's married and he can just sleep with her for nothing? I'm not trying to be mean to you. I just want to help you realize like the reality of what's going on here, right? Thanks a lot again for the amazing advice. I really enjoyed your shows. You are a treasure to us girls in the dating world. We should protect you from the men. I wish no man finds you so that we will keep you all to ourselves. Big fan as always. P.S. For the private relationship question I asked, please add the fact that add on the fact that he's married already, so no possibility of a serious relationship. And the only thing I want from him is allowance now. Well, Magic Z, you're going to be disappointed with my answer here and in our private question because I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to give you the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is if this guy is rich and powerful and he has resources, he's not, I have to be real with you, he's not going to give a damn about paying you for just being around. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I get it. There are some sugar babies in which a really old man will just pay for your company. But guys who are, healthy and, they're able to go out and have sex, let's just say it like that. Those men are not looking to have platonic relationships with women that they pay for a platonic relationship. Like, I really need you to understand what you're saying. Like, you're asking for a straight man who is willing to cheat on his wife with any attractive woman to pay you for a platonic relationship. It doesn't work like that. Maybe if you were in a situation where the man that you were dating was like 80 years old and he can't even get it up, that he would pay you just for your company, that would be the case. But 40-something-year-old men who cheat on their wives every time they go to Miami, he's not all of a sudden going to say, yeah, I want to come up out of $1,000, $2,000 every month or every week to pay you to just be my platonic. That doesn't make any sense. Okay? And I hate to break it to you. Someone even said in the chat, class said in the chat, right? Like, these men, they can go to Miami and get pineapples, get sex from any young woman in any Miami club. We have to paint a real life, honest picture here. Like, he could just go to a different club, pay for a bottle service, get a nice booth. All the women that are, in the club that night, he can bring them in. They won't know that he's married and he can sleep with one of them for nothing or whatever it costs him to get a booth. And it's not like he needs to cheat with you. He can cheat with any attractive woman. It's not specific to you. I know that in your mind, you're believing you're super special, which is why he would want to only sleep with you or only be around you. But that's not the case. He wants to just have sex. So he can do that with any attractive woman. I'm not trying to, be mean to you, but I'm bursting your bubble in the sense that I want to pull you out of the delusion and stop you and prevent you from just wasting more of your time. Because this is such a pointless activity. I don't even want you to spend any time thinking about how you can maneuver around this or get what you want out of the situation when I know the outcome is going to be painful either way, right? It's painful to walk away and say I took an L, but it'll also be painful to have some money for a couple of months and then realize you don't really have anything more than a couple $1,000s, right? Even if the situation works, because there's no way the situation lasts forever. And if the situation doesn't last forever, then what do you have? A couple of nice Chanel bags and some nice clothes. And then what? And then what? So that's my advice to you. And I know it sucks to hear it that way because I'm not giving you a strategy to strategize, but that's because I think that strategy is pointless. I don't think it actually serves you, to be honest with you. Okay, let's go on to our next question here. This question comes from Princess in 4D. Did I make the right decision? I ended things with Ghanaian man. Aw, I'm very sad. Why? I hope you remember everything I told you with our connection. Today he got laid off from work. Damn, you broke up with him when he got laid off? Damn. Which was the same day we had planned our date. If you remember, the last time he was supposed to see me was on Valentine's Day, but he called me to tell me about his mom. So for those of you who don't know, this is an ongoing, we have like a series going on here. This is an ongoing situation. This Ghanaian man had to work more shifts, work more basically to pay for his mom's surgery. So I guess he lost that job. That's very tough. I was understanding and stood by him. We planned another date 2 weeks after Valentine's Day, which he also ended up canceling. Now today he canceled. That makes 3 dates now that have been canceled. Remember that him and I had a conversation after the second date, and he promised he wouldn't schedule any more dates unless he was certain he could keep them. Today was supposed to be our next date, and once again, another issue came up. He got laid off from work. I want to clarify for the chat that I was willing to stay with him through his layoff. That wasn't the issue. The issue was that he canceled yet another date and still expected me to sacrifice again. Sacrifice in what sense? And he wasn't willing to meet me in the middle. Okay, let's explain. He instead suggested he come over and we just sit in the house and order food because he didn't feel like going out. I told him no thanks. Okay, hold on a second. So this is why explanation is very important. He didn't actually cancel the date. He suggested that when he comes over, you guys do something different, which, I get it why you're upset about that. But at the same time, if the man just lost, so let's put in full perspective here. He just lost his job. Obviously, his job is supporting himself, but also in this scenario, he's working that job to help pay for his mother's surgery, right? So we're on the same page about that. So it's kind of a double whammy. Not only does he feel bad because he now needs to figure out how he's going to support himself, he also needs to figure out how he's going to make the money to be able to get his mother this surgery. And probably he's a little bit stressed about if he's going to be able to get that done. I'm not saying that makes it necessarily okay, but I'm just like, there should be a little bit of compassion as to why he might not want to go out and spend money on a dinner when, one, he's probably in the worst mood if he just got fired that day. And number two, he probably, like, the idea of now spending more money when he knows no money is coming in is probably even more painful for him. I'm not saying that you shouldn't still be upset and you're not valid in being upset or frustrated. But what I'm saying is I understand why he would not want to go out. It's not like he just called and said, hey, we're canceling, whatever, forget it, right? Like he just said, let's do something different instead of going out to a restaurant that's going to cost me $200. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Just saying. We ended up talking on the phone and he still wasn't willing to take me out. He only wanted to stay in. I felt that was unfair, especially since he hadn't taken me out since February 4th. I understand his circumstances and I never asked for too much. I assumed he was struggling financially after his mom and I was willing to adjust. I even agreed to 1 date a month until we are exclusive. But if even that can't happen, then I'm sacrificing too much. At that point, I had to ask myself, how will this look long term and if I continue down this path? That's fair. The questions you're asking yourself are very fair. I'm not even saying that what you want and what you feel is necessary for you is wrong. I actually think you're very justified in feeling like this isn't sustainable. I'm just saying I don't think that he's coming from a bad place. I actually think both of you are just in a place where he is in his life and where you are in your life and your desires is just two different places. And that's why it's not working out. Not because anyone's doing anything bad, right? It feels like I keep having to lower my standards or make sacrifices just to make it work. I already told him that if he cancels plans again, I would reevaluate our relationship. So let's be clear. This isn't a canceling of the plan. This is an adjustment of the plan based on, stressful and I think the word is extenuating circumstances, right? Stressful circumstances. We could just say it like that, right? Obviously, it's unforeseen. After I broke up with him over the phone, he was beginning to cry, but I just thanked him for his time we spent, hung up the phone, and removed him from everywhere. Sure. I do feel bad, Tomisin. I care about him. And like I said, we had a real connection. Because of your show, I actually felt I was able to build an emotional connection with someone again after years of wondering what was missing in my past relationship / talking stages. Me and Ghanaian man have been talking every day for 3.5 months. I had sweet plans for his birthday. I asked good questions. I paid attention. I did everything right. We never had pineapples, so that's kind of good because at least you didn't give that up. But I would have gone there with him if things had progressed, which is also fine. He was super eager to make me his girlfriend and had planned to introduce me to his friends today through FaceTime because they live in different states. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad person for this situation, but I also don't think you're a bad person for having your desires of what you want for a relationship. It doesn't have to be one person's fault or the other. But after stepping back and analyzing the relationship, it's clear to me that while things were great in the beginning, I don't know if he can maintain that consistency required for long-term success in the relationship. That's a perfectly fine realization to have, at least not in his current financial or mental state. That's perfectly fine. He met almost all of my qualities I look for in a man. He was what I considered a good man. I inspired him to get back into studying to become a software engineer and watched him take steps towards it every day. Is he a software engineer? That's his job? I'm not going to say you made the wrong decision, right? Because you made the decision that you thought was best. But I'll just say this. Software engineers don't have a hard time finding jobs because they're in very high demand and they get paid very handsomely, especially if he, once he works his way up and becomes like a senior software engineer. I know that because my dad is a software engineer. So I know what they get paid like, and I know that they don't have a problem finding jobs. So I'm not going to say you made a bad decision, but I am going to say I don't think he'll be struggling to find work or be struggling for money, in the future. Just saying, okay? And I watched him take steps towards it every day. Honestly, maybe it's just right person, wrong time. But there are qualities I can't sacrifice. That's very fair, okay? What do you think? Was I wrong? I think if you felt like this had become unsustainable, then you're justified in that. Now, factoring in a couple of things that maybe I know a little bit more about, I think finding a guy who has that career, software engineer, is actually a very stable career, more than you might even realize, just because every app that you use on your phone, that's software engineering. Anytime you go on the back end of a website, right? That's software engineering. Anytime how YouTube is managed and maintained, they take the bugs out of that. That's software engineering. That's Q&A, right? And anything like a lot of the stuff that you use on a daily basis is software engineers are behind that. So I'm just saying that he's not in a bad career path. So, and I don't think he'll struggle to find jobs, right? In the moment, I truly felt it was the best decision for both of us. I think one day he'll thank me for letting him go. Fair. Now he'll have time to focus on himself. He has too much to focus on right now. That's also fair. And he can't give me the treatment I deserve. It's just not fair for me to keep sacrificing when we're only in month 3. That's honestly, you're 100% justified in how you feel. Anyways, if you can't tell, I'm sad about ending things. How can I move on to remind myself that it was the best thing to do? A part of me wants to nurture him and be there for him, but I feel that may only get me taken advantage of long term. That's also fair. I don't feel he is a bad person or man. He is a green flag guy, to be honest, but the circumstances just seem to be against us. What are your thoughts? Update, he reached out today with a long message. He's been calling a lot and I've been ignoring all of them. Here's what he said. What do you think? If I forgive him, should I tell him we need to see each other more in person? Should I allow him the opportunity to take me out? Or should I tell him I'm not forgiving him and it's done? I told him I need space right now and I need to think. I'm waiting for your input today, Tomisin. What should I say or do? Please read. Okay, so let's read this together, chat, because we're all nosy. So I'm going to open this up and then drag this over here. And then we're going to read this out together as a nosy bunch. All right. Let's see here. Okay. So this is his message. I understand that you don't want to talk to me right now. I just want to start by saying I'm really sorry if I hurt your feelings. That was never my intention. The truth is I've been dealing with a lot and I let it affect us when I shouldn't have. I realize now that no matter what's going on in my personal life, it should never come between us. I really like you and I'm not ready to let this go. You mean too much to me. I've been thinking, I've been thinking about us all night and I miss you. I promise to be a man to handle things better and not let anything, distance, stress, or anything come between us. Please give me another chance to make things right. Let me take you out tonight. Just us, no stress, good vibes, and us enjoying each other. I don't want to lose you. I don't want everything we built to go to waste. Damn. Okay. Okay, so let's see. This is your other message here. Let's open this one up. I need some space right now to process how I feel. I'm out right now at my walk. I'll talk to you after work. Okay, please take your time, and I'm sorry. I can't imagine how I'm going to feel without you. I really want things to work out. Take care and have a great day. Okay. Chat, what do you think she should do? I'm going to tell you what I think. I want to hear what some of you think as well. Here's the thing. Okay, Princess in 40, I'm going to have a real just heart-to-heart conversation with you about men and relationships, okay? And I'm going to kind of treat this as if you're like my little sister. The reality of life is when you meet men, of course, ideally, as a woman, it would be perfect if you could meet a man who's already established, already got everything he needs together, already knows exactly what he wants. He's super rich, super handsome, super sexy, super emotionally intelligent, and everything about him is just perfect. And he loves you so much. He's so committed to you, so loyal to you, and all that good stuff. That would obviously be an ideal situation. But what I also want to bring to your attention is a lot of times when you meet a man who has everything already established, and I'm telling you this as someone who's helped a lot of women, what will happen is a lot of the men who are super rich, super successful, all the resources, super handsome, they understand how valuable they are in the dating marketplace. So what usually ends up happening is if you, even though you're an attractive woman, meet a guy who has all that, he's rich, he's handsome, resources, he's got his life going for him, everything is going good for him. What usually ends up happening is you're now at a disadvantage. Because that guy understands that he has so much value that a lot of women would be dying to do anything to be with him. So what ends up happening is those men adopt the mentality that why would I commit myself to one woman when all of them want me, to the point where they're down to all be part of my harem of just women that I casually talk to. And they say, I have money, I have resources, I can take care of them, I can do whatever they need me to do, right, in terms of financially. Why would I commit or be loyal to just one when I can have plenty? And majority of them will be okay with that. And what you'll find is when you date the men who are super rich, super already established, super got all their stuff going on, they'll be less attached and invested in you. So when you start saying, oh, this isn't working for me, I don't like this, or whatever the case may be, right? When you start showing the fact that you are uncomfortable with things or things aren't making you happy, they will have less of a willingness to fix your problems or make adjustments for you. Because in their mind, right, they've been able to get by doing them, right? And they've been successful doing them, doing what they want, how they want, and when they want to do it. So a lot of those type of men will be less willing to make adjustments for you, less willing to do things for you, and they'll be less invested in your happiness. They'll also find it more difficult to apologize because in their mind, they're already amazing. What are they apologizing to you for? If you don't like them, if you don't like their vibe, they just go find someone else who will like their vibe and their money and their resources. The reason I'm saying all that is because there is a reality element to asking yourself, okay, does the man that I'm with right now have the character traits and intangibles that I can work with and work off of? Not that you will, because I don't ever want you guys to think that I'll ever advise you to build a man up from scratch and basically put your all into him and try and get him to be serviceable. That's not at all what I ever want you to do. But what I want you to do when you date people is to be able to recognize, does someone have the potential to be a great man? He's just not necessarily there right at this moment, right? But he has the mindset. He has the wherewithal. He has the intelligence. He also has the desire to be a good man for me. That's also something very important to take note of. Because a man who has the desire to be a good man for you will gladly make adjustments, will gladly grow himself, will gladly care about your happiness and continuing to be an ongoing good partner to you. And let's be very clear, that is a very difficult quality to find in a man. Because a man who genuinely cares about your happiness and making adjustments for you, that is a man that you can actually hold accountable. And I don't want you to underestimate how important it is to be with a man that you can hold accountable. Because in the future, when you say, look, this is not working for me, I don't like this, I feel uncomfortable with this, I felt disrespected when you said this or did this or whatever the case may be, you have to understand the only way things get adjusted is if he can take accountability and he has a desire to make adjustments for you. You can talk about things that aren't working for you until you're blue in the face. But if that man doesn't have a deep burning desire to make adjustments for you and be a good partner to you, nothing will change. And so I don't want you to underestimate how important of a quality that is in the man that you choose, and how less likely you will be to find that in a man who is fully already established in every area of his life. Simply because when they get to that point, a lot of times they want to say, I just want to date whoever I want, whenever I want, and I don't want to make no compromises for anyone. So I say all that to say, in my estimation, I don't think he's being disingenuous. This message doesn't strike me, because I know what a word salad sounds like, even in a text. This message doesn't strike me as someone who's trying to give you and throw at you a word salad. I miss you. I just want to be with you again. Can we just cuddle one more time? Whatever the case may be. This actually sounds like he's heard what you have a problem with. And I know that because you said it, what you have a problem with. And he's actually, even in his message, addressing directly what you said you don't like, what you don't appreciate, and what hasn't been working for you. And even in his response, he's already told you some of the actionable items that he is willing to take for you to address exactly what you've had an issue with. So when we're talking about the different ways someone will apologize in a way that doesn't mean anything versus apology in a way that clearly shows that he's listening to what you're saying, taking it into account and then coming up with solutions for what you have a problem with or an issue with, this is actually exactly that. Because he's not just apologizing for what he did, he's addressing it directly. But even in his message, he even said, hey, give me another chance. We can go out. I want us to have good vibes, no stress. And we can address exactly what you had an issue with, what was bothering you about the fact that we didn't get to go out and we were just, making our plan to stay in. And I think that that's a clear sign that he's actually listening to you, number one, which is actually very important and very rare. But number two, also willing to make adjustments for you because he wants this relationship to work. With a man, especially, a desire to want to make the relationship work is super duper duper important. And I think from what I'm seeing here and what you've described, this is present. And I don't want you to underestimate how important this is, because the same way he might go out into the world and realize the grass ain't greener on the other side is the same thing that might happen to you when it comes to intentionality. Because this doesn't strike me as a man who is not trying to be intentional about you. I think, obviously, like you mentioned, and he mentioned himself, he's going through a lot of things, but I don't think he's necessarily not willing to try and make this work. Okay? It's low-key kind of an example of if he wanted to, he would, because even though he's having a lot going on, he's not allowing that to be the reason that you guys break up or end this relationship, because he's still saying, I've got a lot going on, yes, and it sucks, yes, but I still know that I want you and I want to figure out how we can make this work. So I don't actually think all is lost here. I think that if you have a conversation with him about, and I think you already kind of have, about the things that haven't been working with you, and even if you go or say yes to this date, you allow him to kind of do the leading, because I think he's already taking that opportunity to say, look, let me make some adjustments for you, how you need them to be adjusted. Let him have his boombox moment, so to speak, where he takes you out and he says, look, I can make this adjustment. I can do this. I can do that. I'll make this change. I'll make that change. And you just sit back and you say, okay, we'll see. If you can do that, we'll see. Okay. And let him have his boombox moment where he does his apology and he makes his adjustments and tries to prove to you that he can be the man that you need. I don't think that this is something that you should walk away from yet. I think that you should be a little bit patient. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see if he can continue to be intentional with you, and actually follow up with some action here. And if he can, I think that this is a good thing. I don't think that all is lost here, and I don't think that he's a horrible man. Based on what you've told me about his situation, all in all, with all the stuff that's going on with him, okay? Let's go on to our next question here. That was very detailed and comprehensive there. All right. So Pansy says, met in the wild. Okay. Met in the wild. Hi, Tommy. It's your favorite flower again. I took your advice to heart and went out with my friend last Friday to a bar/music venue, and you won't believe what happened. I met a 27-year-old Nigerian man in the wild who asked for my number. Okay, chat, that's not me. I want to make that very specific, chat. I don't want you guys to be confused. She's not talking about me, okay? If you still remember my previous posts, this is the first time I successfully met someone in the wild who I was attracted to, which is such a big deal. Now, to refresh your memory, I'm 36, but I look very young. Just the other day, a woman literally thought I was 23. I've never been guessed my actual age in my life. I'm Asian, if you know, you know. Yeah, Asians age very well, very gracefully. I also have a very youthful spirit. The Nigerian man was well aware of my age before he made a move on me. He was very respectful, but kept complimenting me on how pretty and hot I was. Why do you say but kept? Is that bad? He was born and raised in Nigeria and came to the U.S. for college. Chat, just to be clear, she's not talking about me, okay? Obviously, you know more about Nigerian men than I do, especially since you are the same age. So I'd like to ask, what do you think about the age gap? Would you ever date an older woman seriously? We had a good time dancing, talking, and eating pizza with our friends. We stayed until 3 a.m., and he really wanted to extend the night and dance with me, but the bars/clubs were all dying down, and he seemed bummed. He walked me to my station afterwards and suggested we took a longer walk so he could spend more time talking with me. When we finally arrived at the station, he jokingly said, "Thanks for walking me home," because his apartment was next door. But he didn't ask me to go back to his place or anything. He even walked me into the station in case the train didn't come until much later and said he'd like to see me again. That's nice. We hugged goodbye the whole night. We didn't have anything physical other than that. I can't remember if we held hands on the dance floor. Definitely no kissing. Here's what I gathered from the night. He talked about himself a lot without me asking. He said he wants to be a dad and would like to settle down when he turns 30. So right now he wants to travel internationally, short trips here and there to watch football games as much as he can, because he didn't get to do that before. Once he becomes a dad, he wants to focus on that. That's fine. He's on a work visa in the U.S. I asked him whether he wanted to live in the U.S. long term. He said probably yes. What does probably yes mean? Okay, what does that mean? He doesn't want to leave the U.S., especially if he can make U.S. dollars. He's a software engineer. Everyone damn near a software engineer these days, okay? Software engineer, good job, stable job, lots of work. As a software engineer, I don't think you'll have a problem working in the U.S. as a software engineer. Literally my dad's job, okay? He lives with a roommate, and I live by myself. We both have pets. His parents are still in Nigeria, but he has a little sister who is in college in the U.S. He said he'd like to buy a house one day so his sister could live close to / with him. Okay? He goes out every other week, usually to bars with live music, venues, like the one that we met at. He texted me right after I got on my train. He said it was nice to meet me and that maybe next time I see you, I'll get to meet your pets. I didn't know how to interpret it. I think he just means like get to know you a little bit better on a more intimate level, not like sleeping with you. I don't think that he means it like I'm trying to sleep with you type of thing. I'm just making an assumption. Do you think that's a hint that he wants to hook up and have something casual? I don't think that's what he's trying to say. I think he's just trying to make a little bit like hey, I want to see you again type of thing. I replied, haha, my pets are pretty shy and don't like strangers. He replied, maybe they'll like me, we'll see. Here are my questions. What do you think about his text and my response? What are some, I don't want to read into a single text string. It's void of a lot of context. And with text, anytime you're dealing with text, it's very easy to misinterpret what someone else is trying to say or what they mean. I don't want to make an assumption that he's trying to sleep with you based on a single text message. It's unfair to him and unfair to you because text messages are so easy to misunderstand. What are some things I should look out for? So here, okay. I would probably say with you being 36 and he is 27, one of the things to look out, I just have to be real with you. One of the things to look out for is what is his goal here? Okay. Meaning when he meets you and he's dating you, if you feel a sense that he's really pushing or rushing the idea of like, hey, let's get married. I want to get married. I really need to get married as soon as possible. Then I would start being a little bit on a higher alert, simply because if a foreign man is coming to the U.S. and is really, really pushing heavily for marriage, like, you know, within the first year or something crazy like that, it's probably because he's looking to get his citizenship. And obviously he's going to get that through you if you're a U.S. citizen. Because you have to understand how big U.S. citizenship is for someone who's not a U.S. citizen, especially someone from Nigeria, right? So just something to look out for. I'm not saying that that's his scenario or his case. Just something to be thinking about if you start to notice some weird or strange activity on his part. There's plenty of good Nigerian men who aren't concerned with that, okay? So just keep that in mind as well. Now, the other thing here is I think pacing will be very good here because coming from Nigeria, his culture is a little bit different. Now, I don't know whether he's Christian or Muslim or what his religion is, if he even has one, but the culture is a little bit different. Just from the simple fact that like the boyfriend and girlfriend stage would probably be a little bit shorter. And marriage, I mean, assuming he's coming from a religious background, marriage is a little bit more like that's something that has to happen. It's not something that, you know, is like, hey, we date forever and we never get married type of thing. The other question I kind of have for you is what is your background? You didn't mention it here. Oh yeah, sorry, you're Asian. So that's interesting. I would say see how interested he is in your culture, because if you're going to date him, right? And you guys are actually going to be in a relationship, one of the questions that has to be asked is how would you guys actually do a relationship being from such drastically different cultures? I would also ask him questions like, how does his parents or family feel, or how does he think they would feel about him dating or seeing an Asian woman? Don't ask him this over text. Ask him this when you see him and get a sense of like how open his parents are, how open his family is to things like that. And just be gauging that, because I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying whenever you have two drastically different cultures, there has to be a merging of cultures, number one, but also you want to make sure that his family is open to that. If his parents are very rigid and they can only imagine him being with a Nigerian woman, you'll be fighting a losing battle, trying to convince a man or trying to convince a family of a man that you're worthy of being with this guy when they think that he should be with a Nigerian woman. So those are some of the things to think about. Other than that, I think just taking it slow, allowing things to develop as they will. Try to see him more in public than you are in private. You know, I think that applies to any relationship that you'll be in. You don't want to be super, come to my house before you even get to know him. Feel him out. If he continues to be a gentleman for the next couple of dates or whatever the case is you guys go out for, then you can continue to date him and feel him out a little bit more and try and understand him a little bit more. Understand a little bit of his background. and his goals here, because the one thing that does concern me, like you said, when you asked him, does he want to live in the U.S. Continuously, and he said, like basically like most likely, or sure, like he's not sure yet. That is something that I would get more answers on, just simply because you don't want a man who's gonna date you for 6, 7, 8, 9 months and then say, yeah, by the way, I'm moving back to Nigeria now, or whatever the case may be. So understand his motivations, what he wants for his future, and also where does he want to live location wise. So very important questions to ask. Okay, let's go on to our free section. Let me scroll down and answer some of these amazing questions. Now let me make sure I'm not skipping anything. Okay, so this one was deleted. Right. Okay, sorry, this one is from LP Baby, and this one was not done yet, I guess. All right, B-Day update. Our drunk words, sober thoughts. Hi, Tommy. B-Day party update. It went okay. I was the best dressed and called cute, and he kept trying to touch my butt throughout the night during the party. Thank you and the lovely chat and community for the help with my outfit. Party and meeting his mom went well. She likes me. If only I wasn't extremely late. So I showed up an hour before the party ended. What? You showed up to a birthday party an hour before it ended? That's actually really disrespectful. I'll be honest with you. I had work and then a long meeting. I'm lying about the MTG, FYI. What's MTG? I don't know what MTG is. Anyways, I show up late with a balloon like this, and he was like really mad. I think that's what you meant to say. Basically, he told me at the end of the night that he was disappointed and upset, sad, mad at me for being late. I mean, you showed up an hour before the party ended, not an hour late. You showed up an hour before it ended. That's really disrespectful. Okay, if he invited you to his birthday party, you show up an hour before it ends. That's really disrespectful. Mind you, I stuck around for 8 hours to be his designated driver and drive him and his 2 frat bros to the bar, and I spent time with him and his 2 buddies. Yeah, but you're saying that like you did that to compensate for the fact that you showed up an hour before the party ended. So you can't use that as a like, oh, but I did such and such and such. It doesn't negate the fact that you disrespected his time by showing up an hour before the party ends. That's crazy. Sounded ungrateful to me. No. You can't disrespect someone's time and then say that they've been ungrateful for you doing something that you chose. You chose to do that because you were compensating for the fact that you disrespected his time. Okay? That's why you did that. You felt bad about it, so you drove him and his frat bros to the bar, okay? So you can't say he's ungrateful. You disrespected his time, right? My question is, how do I express to him that he needs to stop taking things so personal? I get it. I messed up and was very fashionably late. Okay. We're not doing this. Okay. This show, chat, is not for me to be your friends in the sense where I'm going to co-sign everything that you do. Showing up fashionably late and showing up an hour before a party ends is not the same thing. Okay? I'm going to be very real with you. Showing up fashionably late is showing up 15, 20, 30 minutes late from when you're supposed to be there. Okay? That's like fashionably late. Showing up 1 hour before an event ends means that event has been going on for like at least 3 to 4 hours. And you're showing up, that means you're showing up probably 2 to 3 hours late. That is insane. You show up to anything 2 to 3, any job, any, thing that, you're responsible for 2 to 3 hours late, they ain't going to even let you in. So I'm just saying that to say you're minimizing what you did, even though it's very disrespectful. And then you're also saying, hey, don't address the fact that you're upset about something I did. I get it. It was bad. I made a mistake. Because the reality of it is, if someone disrespected you that way, you wouldn't be quick to let it go or forget about it. And I think that it's very, it lacks a lot of accountability when you want your mistakes to be overlooked and, hey, let's get over it quickly. But if someone does you wrong, you want to talk about it, you want to address it, you want to make sure that they understand and you get off your chest everything that you feel. So don't be in a rush to move on from something because you're the one that made the mistake. Rather, you should have not made the mistake, right? Because if you don't like being addressed in a way that you feel like you did wrong, you better make sure you don't do wrong then, because you know that that was wrong. But when you know that that was wrong, you probably feel bad when he's talking about the ways that that was wrong. But the reality of it is the only person's fault that you're getting addressed like that is your own. It's not his fault. He deserves to be very upset about that situation. You showed up an hour before it ended. Okay? But also, I don't want to force his hand and say what I'm thinking, which is chill out. I'm not your girlfriend. Stop taking things so personal. Well, let me ask you a question. Would you say chill out, don't invite me to your birthday party? Would you say chill out, don't take me on dates? Would you say chill out, don't take this relationship so seriously? Would you say chill out, don't spend your money on me like I'm your only girl? Would you say chill out, don't be on my body and text me every day and be consistent with me like all you want is me? Would you say chill out then? If you wouldn't say chill out then don't tell him to chill out when he has a problem with something that you are wrong about. Because the same way you want intensity in the way that he'll go about his relationship with you is the same way that there's going to be intensity if you do wrong. Also, I hate how loud and belligerent he acts when he's drunk. Let me know your thoughts on this, Tommy. Keep it real always. Players Club Dad. When you say you don't like that he becomes belligerently drunk and how he acts, like the way that he treats you, or you just get the ick in him being drunk. If you get the ick from him being drunk, then maybe he's not your guy. Because the reality of it is the guys that like to drink, they'll like to drink before they met you and they'll like to drink after they met you. So if that's such a problem for you that you're getting the ick that you don't think you can be in a relationship with him, that's your prerogative. But then in the future, you probably want to look for a guy who either doesn't drink or drinks little to none. Because there's nothing really for me to tell you, because what are you going to say? Stop drinking? Sure, you could address that. Is he actually going to stop drinking? Probably not. Because people who get like this, it's not just a matter of, hey, I take one drink and I'm automatically belligerently drunk. It's that as they start drinking, they can't control themselves to stop, right? They don't know when the point of no return is. They can't control that. So I'm saying that to say that's not really something where you're just going to see a night and day difference by addressing it. So you kind of have to decide for yourself, is this not going to work for you, or can you deal with it? And if not, then you break up. Also, he told me during his after party, if I wanted to be his girlfriend, wait, what? But because he talks a lot, he started talking about something else, so we dropped it. So should I not bring this up too, right? Let him cook. I wasn't planning on bringing this up at all, but he was also very drunk. Thoughts? Honestly, just leave it. If it was like a super drunk thing that he just said randomly, just leave it. I would be honest with you, just leave it. Also, he told me he is bad at picking up hints. If I need something that I have to be direct, because he cannot do this for me. He was so adamant and direct about this. I told him I don't want to do that, and that he is capable and that he is smart and I trust him. And I suggested he use his critical thinking skills and that he has done hard things in the past, like complete triathlons and earn his master's. He said he understands, but there's actually something attainable. But there's actually something attainable and an end goal. Also, this was like a 1 to 2 a.m. conversation when he was extremely drunk. So he was being honest, and I also wasn't drinking, but I was tired. I am paraphrasing his words. My question is, what are your thoughts on this? There's a balance between that. There's a balance between communicating to your man what you like, but also not being like, hey, you need to do this and you need to do that. One of the easiest ways to do that is to just give examples of things you enjoy. So in the way that you send him TikToks, oh, this TikTok's so romantic. It's a TikTok of a guy coming to a girl's house with flowers or whatever the case may be. This is so romantic. When you watch a movie together, when you watch a TV show together and you see something that you would like done to you, oh, I think it's so romantic when guys open the door for a girl. I think it's so romantic when a guy goes out and gets a girl flowers. Oh my gosh, one of that's just, I think that just is over the top. I feel like I would cry if I got that. I feel like I'd be over the moon if I got that. Obviously, say that when he's sober so he can really be taking it in. But then on a continuous basis, emphasize the things that you want by giving or by pointing them out when you see them out. Oh, that's so romantic. Oh my gosh, look at that guy when he gave that thing. Oh, I would just cry if that was me. Oh my gosh, that would make me die if that was me. Once you emphasize it enough, he'll start to be like, oh, I should do that for her, that she really likes that. But it's in a less direct way where he can put it together after you're emphasizing it over and over again. And I know it sucks, but you're going to have to emphasize it over and over again, okay? And then after a while, he'll start to get the messaging. Oh, I should do this. I should do that. I should do this, right? Because clearly she's always saying how much she loves it. And it'll start to be playing in the back of his mind, right? Without you having to say, go do this and go do that. But you have to work with him a little bit in helping him understand that, right? Also, we were into a disagreement last night over the phone. I kindly but sternly told him the following. It feels like I can't do anything right with you. If I'm honest, or don't give you details. You find a way to be upset and feel away, and it hurts my feelings. No. Okay. This is very bad what you're doing. You're invalidating him. So, look, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but if he's addressing something to you that bothers him about what you're doing or what you said, something that upset him, he is valid in being upset about what he feels, right? He's valid in feeling that. You saying that I can't do anything right is a cop-out, because that's not, I'm making an assumption here. If he's addressing something that he doesn't like that you said or did, he's not saying you don't do anything right. He's addressing what he doesn't like that you said or did. So you're copping out by, I can't do anything right. Oh my gosh, I can't do. Because if he's not saying that, then you can't make it seem like that's what he's trying to do here. And anytime see, this is the thing. If you find it difficult to take accountability for things that you've done wrong, or it's like grinding claws on a chalkboard. When someone is telling you things that you did wrong, you need to reevaluate yourself, okay? Because if this is the case where anytime he tells you something that bothers him, you're like, oh, I don't want to hear it. Stop talking about it, right? And you just like almost like puts you in pain. That's very bad. Because that tells me you find it very difficult to hear someone address you and be actually correct in the way that they're addressing you and what they're addressing you about, okay? So accountability is very important. And, I'm not saying that you're doing this, but it's worrying me in the way that you're describing how anytime he addresses something, it bothers you. Because if he's addressing it, that's because it bothers him and he's allowed to feel a way about something you did or said. The same way you're allowed to feel a way about something he did or said to you. Both of you should be able to address each other and say, I don't like this thing that you did. I feel disrespected by this. I feel uncomfortable by this. And the other person to hear you out, validate your feelings and say, you know what, you're right. Even if that wasn't my intention, I will make sure to do a better job making an adjustment for you so that you don't feel that same way. That should be what both of you are doing. Okay? I also told him not everything is about you and you need to get over yourself because I don't do things to hurt you. Once again, this is invalidating his feelings. Let me give you an example. If you told him, let's say for the sake of example, you told him, I feel like you don't really value me as a girlfriend or as a relationship because you never take me out on dates. You only invite me to your house, right? And it makes me feel like you don't really care about our relationship. Let's say you said that to him. And his response was, oh my God, why do you always complain? Not everything is about you. I stay in the house because I feel like staying in the house. It has nothing to do with you. Stop making it about you. If that was his response to you expressing the feeling of feeling a little bit neglected in the relationship because he doesn't ever do anything but, sit in the house and watch Netflix to you, how would that make you feel? Would that make you feel like you want to continue being with this person? Would that make you feel resolved? Would that make you feel like he cares about, you? Would that make you feel like he cares about your feelings? Probably not. So ask yourself, if you were to be addressed like that, and that was the response that you received from someone when you talked to them about something that was important to you. Because see, this is the thing. When something is important to you, it's very easy to care and feel like we need to stay on this. We need to resolve this. We need to figure this out. We need to discuss this. When something is not as important to you and it's important to the other person and you find it difficult to have empathy for that person or that situation, it's a lot harder to care enough and make it important enough and address it the same way with the same intensity. But what needs to happen, if you're going to have a successful relationship with anyone, you need to adopt the mentality that if it's important to you, it's important to me. And I treat it with the same intensity. We'll talk about it until we're blue in the face. We'll have conversation about it. We'll sit down. We'll address it. We'll say this. We'll say that. I'll listen. You'll talk. I'll talk. You'll listen until everyone feels resolved. Because I know when something's important to me, I want to feel that you care just as much as I care. So being able to have that level of self-awareness is important. Now, if you don't feel like you care enough about what he cares about, then you have a different problem on your hands. Because I'm worried that you don't even like him enough or feel invested in him enough that you just don't care about what he cares about or what his feelings are, which is fine, but then don't waste his time in this relationship, okay? I just live a very hectic, busy life, and if I was late to things, I can't give you details, there are reasons for this. No, that's just not being reasonable. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to give you the truth, okay? That's not being reasonable. If you show up with an hour left to this man's birthday party, you better come with a very specific and detailed reason in which you showed up with an hour left of the birthday party. If you come there with an ego, with arrogance, that you're so high and mighty, that you're the best thing since sliced bread, that you don't even owe him an explanation for why you showed up an hour before his birthday party ended, don't even be in a relationship. You shouldn't even be in a relationship, because if you feel like you don't owe him an explanation, you don't need to be in a relationship, because there's a certain point where you have to be able to empathize with other people and put yourself in their shoes and say, hey, I owe you something here because I wronged you. What I did to you was unfair. You invited me to your birthday party and you planned it out. You expected me to be there. I didn't show up how I should have shown up for you, and I apologize for that, right? And I'm sorry for that. Your response shouldn't be, hey, don't be asking me about where I've been and the details of my life. It's not relevant. If I don't feel like telling you that I'm not, okay, then be single. If that's how you feel, that you don't owe anyone an explanation, be single. You only have to worry about you. You only have to deal with you. You don't have to talk to anyone about anything. Then you can keep all the details to yourself about anything. But don't be in a relationship and then say, I don't owe you anything or owe you any explanation. That's part of the sacrifice that you make when you build a relationship with another human being, right? Now, you don't get to just go out whenever you feel like and not say anything to anyone. You don't get to stay out till 4 a.m. and not have to answer to anyone. Yes, if you're in a relationship, you're going to have to answer to someone. Yes, if you're in a relationship, you're going to have to be addressed by someone and explain yourself, whether you're a guy or a girl. If that's a problem for you, don't be in a relationship. Be single, okay? I expressed to him, look, I am coming to you as a friend and out of concern and respect for you, but I have to call you out on your behavior. So this is my feedback, and I don't care if you get upset/frustrated. You're welcome. No need to thank me. What? That's what you said to him? I don't even what was the purpose? That's very arrogant. That's very arrogant, considering the fact that this is coming after you showed up with an hour left. I keep having to say this because I'm even shocked that you showed up with an hour left in his birthday party, and he's been dating you and went out of his way to invite you to his birthday party, and you're telling him that his behavior is in the wrong for calling you out and addressing that, and that you don't care if he's upset and frustrated, and that that he's welcome. There's no need to thank you. You do okay. Okay. I won't say anything. Tomisin, let me know your thoughts on this mini crash out. Oops, I promised that I was calm and kind about it. If this is for verbatim what you said, this is very wrong. Very wrong. I was just stern and frustrated. This isn't being stern. This isn't being stern. This is being this is lacking a lot of empathy. It's actually also very disrespectful, because you disrespected his time and then you're telling him that, hey, fix your behavior. You're not giving what you think you're giving there, okay? He was so mean over the phone when I called him back. If I were that guy, I would never even speak to you again. I'm just letting you know. Like I'll be super real with you, okay? He did you a favor even speaking to you after this. Because if someone did that to me and this was their response to the situation, I would never speak to them again. Because the appropriate response is, I apologize for showing up an hour left in your birthday party. How can I make it up to you? That's the proper response when you do someone wrong. Okay? This response screams, I don't even want a relationship. I wouldn't even answer your call after that. You would feel like you disappeared magic, thin air from my life if that were me. So I'm letting you know he's actually showing you grace by even talking to you after this. I'll be honest with you. His tone made me feel very disgusting, as if I was such an inconvenience. How do you think it makes him feel when you show up with an hour left to his birthday party with no explanation? You think that makes him feel like an inconvenience or no? And I told him I don't like your tone, so that really set me off. Okay, you don't like his tone addressing you for something that you did to him. Okay. He has a lot of grievances about me, though it seems. How to fix then? I think you have a lot of apologizing to do. I'll be honest with you. Also, fit update. This is what I look for. You and the ladies were right. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, you have a lot of apologizing to do if you want to make this work. If you don't feel like here's the thing. If you don't feel like you did anything wrong, my advice to you is just break up with him and be single. Because if you genuinely feel like this was the right approach and you're saying this because like you're looking for some sort of justification or for me to be like you're right, just break up with him, because you're not ready at all for a relationship. Like, not even in the slightest. This approach that you took tells me that either one, you don't want anything to do with dating him. Like, you genuinely don't like him, right? You don't like him. Or number two, it just tells me overall, you're not in the mind state to be ready to build a relationship with anyone at all. Either way, I don't think it even makes sense for you guys to continue doing this, because based on what you told me, I'm only going by what you told me, right? He did you a favor. If he even responds to your messages after this, he's doing you a favor. Because most people with self-respect would you guys know how I am. I'm a very stern type of guy. If you were dating me and this is what you this is not even worthy of block. This is the type, and I've done this before. The type of response you would get from me, you could be standing right in front of me. You will feel like a ghost. You will feel like you are invisible. You will feel like you disappeared into thin air. The way you will disappear into irrelevance, you'll be asking yourself if you ever existed in my life. That's how I would treat you if you responded to me like that. Because what it shows is that not only do you not care about his feelings, but you actually think of it as a nuisance for him to address you and talk about the things that concerns him, which is exactly what you want men to be doing. Right? You want men to be addressing what they feel is bothering them. You want them to be honest about what is concerning them. You want them to express to you that, hey, I don't like when this happened. I don't like when you did this. Because then you'll be able to understand them. And you guys can come to resolutions. If the man that you're dating shuts down on you and doesn't talk to you about anything, doesn't address anything with you, you're going to be building an emotional wedge between the two of you. When you can have a man in a state where he's expressive to you about his emotions, that's a good thing, right? Because then you guys can work with each other. You guys can come to resolutions. You guys can solve problems together because you know what he wants, you know what's bothering him, and vice versa, right? Because when he talks about what he wants and what's bothering him, then you'll also have your time to address things that are bothering you too as well. And everyone will get their opportunity to feel resolved. It's not just about saying, hey, make me happy how I want to be happy. And then when it comes to you addressing me, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. Let's skip over it. Can we get through this? And you're really giving me the vibe that it's like a nuisance to you to, one, hear about how you've done wrong, right? Which also makes me feel like you're lacking a lot of empathy. And number two, it also makes me feel like you have some sort of issue with him expressing himself, like you see him as lower, or you're icked out when he's expressing himself, which if that's the case, I don't even think this is your guy. I don't think this is your guy at all. Not even in the slightest. Because if you feel like it's a nuisance for him to express himself to you, talk about his feelings or emotions, or you just, overall don't want to talk about it, I think that you're wasting his and your time in a relationship with him, to be honest with you. Because this should not at all be the response that you take. This is very bad. I'm glad you quoted it too. And I'm glad you're very honest. I appreciate your honesty, because this is very bad. Your response to this is very bad. And if this was flipped the other way, and let's say you were a girl and you're asking me, what should I do with this guy? I would tell you never speak to him again. I would tell you straight up, do not even bother speaking to this person one more time, because any conversation with someone of this mindset is a waste of your time. You can't do anything with someone who's in this mindset. And the mindset is the one that you have, right? He can't do anything with you if you don't even feel like you have a problem. Or if you feel like your problems are very minimal, let's skip over them, let's not talk about them. You can't do anything with that. Can't work with that. Can't build a relationship off that. Can't have a conversation about that. Can't do nothing with that. So, hey, I'm not telling you you need to change this or change that. All I will say is I think you need to reevaluate whether you're even ready for a relationship. Because how you're going about this is not someone who's ready for a relationship. And if you truly want one, a lot of things about the way that you're approaching this relationship needs to change, because you will not only will you not have a successful relationship with this guy, you will never have a successful relationship with anyone if you continue to adopt this mindset that I don't need to explain myself to you. Let's not talk about the things that I do wrong. Stop addressing me. It's not important. Your tone and the way that you're upset is making me mad. You're making me mad because you feel a way about something that I did. If that's your mindset, you will never be successful in any relationship. I'll just be honest with you. So take that for what it is, and you can figure out what you want to do with that. All right. So I have to be real with you. I can't lie. I can't sugarcoat stuff for you guys to make it sound better because you're in the Discord. I have to be very real. Okay. Let's go on to our next question here. This one comes from Nessie. Okay. Should I take his offer? Hi, Tommy. So I have 2 questions for you. So just to give you a little backstory, I met this guy on this past Valentine's Day. How it happened was I went out with a few friends, and he was one of my friend's cousins that joined us. I caught him staring and a few times, and we locked. Did I do this one? No, I didn't. Excuse me. I caught him staring and a few times, and we locked eyes a few times, and for the entire night. And eventually, he came and talked to me, and we exchanged phone numbers, etc. We went out the following Sunday, so a few days after we met. So far, he seems chill, ambitious, and he's very old school. So he calls me a lot, way more than text. That's not a bad thing. I don't always answer, though. And he has no social media accounts. I checked everywhere 3 times. Okay, so my car actually broke down a few days ago, and it's currently at the mechanic. When I mentioned it to him while we were talking on the phone, he offered to pick me up and drop me to work every day. Damn, you must got that thing on you. Honestly, it would be so helpful because I'm currently using public transportation to get to work, and it's making me late and getting me in trouble. I remember you said that the limit for when you just meet a guy is 2 hours a week. And since we already went out on Sunday, which lasted 2 hours, should I decline his offer of just taking me to work in the mornings? But I won't go out with him again until next week. Here's what I'll say. In this situation, I'll say, let him take you to work one day of the week, and let's see how it goes. Okay? He gets to take you to work one day of the week. You can see how you feel about that, and you can see what happens after that. My only thing is, I don't want him constantly driving you to work to become your version of a date. I don't want that to be the kind of like thing, the dynamic that gets established, right? So I think that even though it would be advantageous for him to drive you every day, let's not do that right now because you just met him. We don't need to be jumping into things like that yet. Let him take you out one day of the week with one date, okay? And then after that, you guys can slowly ease into it if he's continuing to date you, okay? But please, no every day, him taking you to work. That's just not appropriate for where you guys are at. And my other question, I noticed he is also wearing a hat. Like I've never seen him without one. even in some pictures he showed me. I think he might be bald. Is it rude if I just ask him if he's bald, or should I accidentally knock his hat off? Don't do that. Just ask him. Just make a jokey. I've never seen you with your hat off before. What's your hair like? And then you'll see it at some point, right? Like he's either gonna show you or he's gonna say, "Damn, nah, it's because I'm bald, it's because this or da 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 da," and he'll show you. Don't knock his hat off, okay? That's kind of disrespectful, okay? Update: he's not bald. His hat fell off yesterday. His hair is nice actually, so I'm safe for now. You're fine. Just let things progress so as they will. Okay. I don't think you need to. Don't do the drive every day to work. It's unnecessary. Let's let you get on some dates first before he's driving you to work every day. I know it sucks. I know you're gonna have to take public transportation and it sucks, but you just met that guy. Okay. Let's go on to our next question here. Our next question comes from Kubi. Should I ask him the $1 million question? Hi, Tomisin. I'm a 27-year-old female, single, and never had a boyfriend before. I've had my fair share of situationships, I guess, but it mostly was just within the internet that most of them turns into a very sexual dynamic and leaves me heartbroken and insecure. Excuse me. Last January, I met someone online. So if what we're doing hasn't been working for us, why do we continue to do the same thing over and over again, right? That's the definition of insanity. I met someone online, 31, turning 32 this February, male, very spontaneous, not on a dating app, but from shared mutual interest group thing. What is that? What are you talking about? A Facebook group? Just say what you're saying. Nothing related to dating or relationships. So why don't you just say it? What do you mean a shared mutual interest group thing? Why are you being so vague? We first started talking about this topic, but after a day or two, moved to more like getting to know each other. We started talking more frequently and daily. I liked how he was very proactive in our conversations. You mean like texting you first? Like asking me questions and in turn making me ask questions to keep the conversation going. What really got are you talking about over text though? What really got my attention to even continue talking with him is that he had a very mature vibe to him, which I liked. Okay. You're talking about his text messages to you. You don't really know if a guy has a mature vibe by his text messages, right? Like, you haven't met him yet. Okay? Just keep that in mind. As time went by, I guess I had started to act to what I know now as the girlfriend treatment. I feel like he noticed this and asked me what my expectations are since I was asking him to tell me goodnight and stuff. I mean, it's not really girlfriend treatment if you're not seeing him in person. At that time, it was probably 1 to 2 weeks of talking to him. I think I didn't really understand his question as much this time from my lack of experience and awareness in these things, but in what I already knew about him. And at the time, he was focused on his career. He's also in tech, so he's busy all the damn time, and he uses that word a lot, and it annoys the freak out of me. He was also saving up to move somewhere. I also asked myself, well, do I want a boyfriend? Yes, in general. Do I want him as a boyfriend? He has potential and seems like a good guy. Yes. Do I want a boyfriend now? Can I sustain a relationship right now? Well, I have my own things going on, and I know I have a lot of things in my life I have to work on for now, so no. So what are we doing here? That mixed with me most likely wanting him to get a taste of his own medicine for always telling me not to overthink / don't worry. What? Ultimately made me give him an answer of something like, I'm not expecting anything, and I'm not going to tell you the same things, don't worry. So what's the purpose of anything we're doing here? You don't want to date him and you're not expecting anything. Why are you chatting with him? What is the purpose? There is none. I'm very upset. Basically, I told him I like talking to him and getting to know each other more too, so no worries. Okay, maybe this is where I was a dumb butt. He was very much okay with that and said, okay, then no worries for both of us. Fast forward, I'm going to just list out the key events Here that happened from there until now. I had a meltdown in our conversations from in real life pressure and kind of projected that towards him, and which in turn made me ghost him. Well, attempt, because he went out of his way to contact me, put me in my place for doing things, which caught me off guard because that was the first time for me. Okay, I know that this is a very long message. I need to, I'm sorry, for the sake of time, if this is all, over text, I'm sorry, we're going to have to skip ahead here because, we can't be basing all of our relationship here over text message. So I need to see here how much is of this is like, when are we meeting in person here? I also told him maybe it's because I like you, so I'm more conscious about these things, and then putting my walls down. Did you meet him yet? I'm skipping ahead to see if you meet him, but he never said he liked me or talked to me about what our status is. Why would he do that if he hasn't met you yet? Chat. Do you see anything in here about meeting each other in person? Let's skim here and see. Okay. A month in, I started to become more anxious. He replies, we're not talking about meeting. I need to see something about a meet here. You're sending in a question about a guy you've only been texting. I need to see something about a meet here. Like, even if he wants to, platonic. We've already shared private, vulnerable stuff about our lives and our childhood in person or over text. Are we friends? Let's see. When is the meet here? Should I not initiate convos first? Just as, by the way, he did steer things towards sexual stuff like all the previous men, which I think also makes him more attractive to me. What? If anything, I'm deleting this part because it's uncalled for. Okay. Kubi. I'm not skimming through your question because I don't like you. I'm skimming through your question because the reality of it is you don't have a real relationship with someone who you haven't met in real life. I'm not trying to be mean or rude to you. It doesn't work like that. So until you meet him in real life, then we can start addressing some of the things that you're seeing or doing. Like, because I can't give you advice on a guy that you're just casually text messaging every now and again, or even if you're text messaging him regularly, you don't know it. Anyone could be behind that phone, right? Like someone said in the chat, you have a pen pal. So that's not really. If your question was about, hey, I texted this guy, then I met up with him and this and that, but it seems like a lot of this is just happening over text message. I can't give you advice on that because we don't even know if the real person you're talking to is behind that phone. We haven't verified that yet. So until we get to the point where you meet him, I don't think that any of this is relevant because all you have is a pen pal. If you guys aren't actually going to meet each other, you're just going to talk and chit chat over the phone forever. Don't even consider this serious whatsoever because it's not. Okay, till you meet in person, that's when you have a serious thing going on that can be addressed. Someone's saying that I skipped Pansy's question. Let's go down here. Let's see if I skipped it. That also reminds me. I think Anna was saying that I skipped her question, but I don't see where Anna. What is the title of your question, Anna? Is this it? It can't be that. Anna, if you're watching, tell me what the title of your question is because I can't see where it got skipped. Okay. And someone said I missed part of Pansy's question, like her premium question. Okay. Let me see here. I think I got it all. What was the part that I missed here? About the age gap. Oh. He talked about himself without asking about me. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll address these. When did you ask these? Was that the whole time? Okay, I'll address these just because I don't want to break up the flow. I'll address these on my own time. So I'll answer the rest of the stuff that I didn't answer on my own time, okay? But I'll mark this as well. Thank you for reminding me, chat, okay? I'll make sure to add this. I'll send you a voice message and I'll reply to it in the chat there for the rest of the stuff, okay? Okay, let me see here if I can find Anna. Where is it? Where is your question that I missed here? It's listed under auto questions for whatever reason. It's called Am I Too Cold? Am I Too Cold? What the hell? Oh, here. Okay. Am I too cold? Damn, why did I skip that one? That's so weird. Okay. Quiet Queen. Hey, Tommy, I'm 30. I have a crush on a guy who's 24 I'm studying with. We kept eye contact, and after some time, he started to come up to me. I was playing hot and cold right from the beginning. He always uses uni stuff as an excuse to strike a conversation or message me. First time he messaged me privately, we had a little back and forth, nothing interesting, but we didn't, wait, what? But he didn't open the last message, which offered me. What? Okay. Excuse me. I'm trying to understand what you mean there. So I decided to ignore him the next day. I was extra kind to everyone else but him and looked him just the first time dead serious. I think I'm going to say looked at him. Dead serious in the eyes. After that, I pretended that he doesn't exist, which got him nervous. I felt that he was trying to catch my attention. So far, so good. Then happened my slip up. His close friend, who's 25, liked me right from the beginning, but I didn't really consider him because he was talking a lot about pineapples and it was obvious that he parties a lot. One day, his friend and I had a group project together. How old are you? Oh, you said he's okay. Had a group project together and he pushed his knee against mine, which I found quite aggressive. That's aggressive? Okay. But after some conversation, I let it happen. To be honest, the attention felt good. He is also funny and good looking, so I flirted a little bit with him. Then the guy I actually like came in. He stood right behind his friend, looked back and forth between the two of us. He was surprised because until this day, I was super cold to his friend, aside from a little eye contact. I didn't, have the impression that it actually hurt him on his face. It said something more along the lines of, interesting, so that's the game we're playing here. He directly went to the back row to another girl and flirted with her. She has a boyfriend, which I didn't know at the time, and is super into him. Oh, okay. He looked now and again into my direction to check if I was watching. After this date, I spiraled. Loyalty is an extremely important value of mine, and I felt guilty. So I wrote him a message at around midnight and asked if we could talk tomorrow. I told him in person that I felt like we were building up tension during the last weeks and that I felt bad for flirting with his friend because I really want to get to know him better. You doing too much. He first played dumb as if we weren't flirting at all. I first believed him and felt embarrassed, which I told him. Then he said he felt flattered and let's grab coffee then. He wanted to stroke his ego and asked how long I already liked him. See, this is why I say don't do that, right? I said I first noticed, you actually did it. I said I first noticed him a year ago, but the last couple of weeks, I thought to myself that he was kind of nice. I know I shouldn't have done that. It's just like, there's nothing wrong with if a guy expresses that he likes you, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm feeling you too and things like that. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. The reason that this is bad is he never expressed to you that he wants you, if that makes any sense. Yeah, you guys had a little bit of flirtatious energy going back and forth, but if he's not going to address you flirting with his friend, then don't address it, right? Like, let him be the one to come to you and say, why are you on my boy? Let him be, like the kids say, will be on your body, right? Let him be on your body. And then you can say, I wasn't even flirting. I was just being me, right? Let him be on you. You're doing the opposite now, and you're giving him answers to questions he never even asked you. Don't do that. We went for a walk and talked a little bit more. He said that a girlfriend would be kind of nice, especially one who studies the same major. I am a very good student because of the help which they could give one another. But he doesn't want the intense phase at the beginning because he wanted to put all his focus into studying. I told him that I think a guy who really wants a woman does nearly everything, and that I think it just means he doesn't like me that much. Also, something unnecessary to say. Okay. Before that, I also said that I am unsure whether he is able to give me the level of commitment that I require and that I'm down I'm not down for something casual. You're doing a lot of over-explaining. You're answering questions he has never asked you. Okay? I didn't watch enough Players Club at the time. After some back and forth, he said that he is probably not the guy that I'm looking for. I hope you stop talking to him after that. I agreed, and we had a little more conversation. He also told me that his friend really liked me. He's putting you on to his friend, his boy. I felt so embarrassed after our walk that I asked him not to tell anyone. He agreed, but said he has to tell his friend, except I now want him. He tried to sell his friend big time to me. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I had to think a little, I'm not going to lie. I lived in celibacy for around 1.5 years now, and his friend is kind of hot. But then I said it's best to tell the truth and that he should tell him. Stop doing this. Stop doing this thing where, like, stop giving men all of your cards. You're aggravating me doing this. You're giving men all of the power by showing all your cards, like right at the beginning. It's like you're doing it on purpose. You're just so thirsty to show men exactly what you think at every moment. Tell them exactly how you feel and exactly what you like. There's no mystery with you. Nobody has to guess anything of what you want. No one ever is wondering what Mrs. Quiet Queen is thinking. Not for a second anyone is thinking. Okay? Like let's make the guys that you're with sweat just a tad. Is that a crime? It's not a crime, you know. To make the men just sweat just a tad, okay? Like you're doing this thing where every second you just feel, well, okay, well, I guess I like this guy, so let's make sure he knows exactly how much I like him and exactly that I want to be with him and exactly, how much like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Okay? That will never work out for you. That will never work out for you, okay? It will never work. This was the middle of November 2024. We talked on a Friday. I had to let things sink in during the weekend. Then I put 2 and 2 together and I figured out that this mess doesn't sum up at all and that he's trying something. I felt offended and ignored both of them on Monday. He was visibly frustrated. Was he trying to flip the script on me? He then started to look for an excuse to talk to me. For example, on that Monday, he asked me for my notes via message in class. His friend also attended. I kept everything dry, short, via text message. A few weeks later, he started to come up to me with a whole nother level of confidence now that he knew I like him back. Another reason not to do that. I normally ignore him. Then I started to be nice when he talks to me in person. He got really flirtatious. He leans over me when I'm sitting at the PC. He slightly touched my hand one time and likes to look deep into my eyes. Are you living in a Wattpad story? I let him start from square one every time and he kept coming back. That's what you think you're doing? I noticed that I already started to catch feelings for him. I know I'm 30 and it sounds like a teen drama. Don't judge me. It's the first man I really like after breaking up with my boyfriend. We were together for 7 years and the dating game is kind of new for me. So after some weeks, I got frustrated because this doesn't seem to lead anywhere. And I thought to myself that that he maybe just wants the ego boost from talking to me. So I started to become cold when he comes up to me. I think he meant to say comes up to me. I don't look his way anymore, and if he directly looks to me, I try to break eye contact as soon as I can read in his eyes that he is regaining confidence that I still like him back. This went on for the past 3 weeks. He got really nervous. Maybe he just doesn't want to lose his grip on me. He sent me 3 messages in 1 week, all unanswered, and visibly less confident. I slip up now and again when I look too long into his eyes. And 2 weeks ago, at the last day of the semester, he caught me, I think you meant to say, alone in a PC room, pretending that he wanted to talk to a friend of his who was there before. He and another friend came in before and saw friend 1 there. He also knew that I was there because friend 2 told him, because friend 2 and I were in the PC room and okay, we got it. Like, I want us to get, what is the purpose of your question? Okay. All right. Deep eye contact. He touched me on the shoulder to explain something to study to me 2 weeks ago. I love that you're going into detail, but we got, like, what is the question here? Okay. This was on WhatsApp. Wait, what? Which is out of character for me. This was 2 weeks ago. I saw him. I didn't tell him anything. The last thing I tried was posting pictures before going out to the gym, which was out of character for me because I never had Insta and I'm a really private person. I just wanted to remind him that I have a life and I'm good looking and these guys hit on me. He watched but didn't respond. This was on WhatsApp. I know I probably should have stopped talking to him the minute he said he doesn't want to invest into a relationship, but I like him. So now we're back to guy number one. Is there any chance? No. Don't waste your time. No. Am I too impatient? No, you're not impatient. You're just wasting your time with guys who don't want to build with you. He's not really that interested in you. Should I completely ignore him until he asks me what's going on or until he asks for a date? Ignore him until he asks you for a date. Please help. It's so hard. We see each other frequently during the semester. Thank you so much. Okay. So, Quiet Queen, here to help you answer your question here. One, you're not going to waste any more of your time on any of these guys. Okay. No more of these guys. Okay. You're wasting a lot of time. Number two, you're not going to message any of these guys about anything unless they're specifically asking you out on a date, because what's happening to you is every time they message you or you talk to them or you have a conversation with them, you're getting reeled back in, meaning you start to become overly invested again about guys who are not invested in you. I don't think either of these guys that you mentioned in your message want to take you out for a date. I don't think either of them have the interest level required to even start dating you. When I say interest level required, a guy can think you're attractive and think you're cool, but not be interested enough in actually taking you out on a date, in which case don't worry yourself about those men, because you can't do anything with a man who only has very little interest in you, to the point where all he'll do is look at you and message you every now and again. There's nothing you can do about that. What you're also experiencing here is a little bit of the thing that I talk about happens at work. When you flirt with a guy at work, men will flirt with you simply because you are where they were already going to be, and flirting with you makes the time go by faster. They do that at work. They'll also do that if you guys share classes together or you go to the same school. So when they do that at work, what it looks like is they'll come up to you, they'll flirt with you, they'll have conversation with you, and you'll be thinking in your mind, oh my God, does he actually want to date me? No, he's flirting with you because having some of that sexual tension between you guys makes that process of being at work a little bit more fun. Same thing with class. When he comes to class and he flirts with you, he knows your eyes are beady. He can see your pupils dilated. He sees your skin red. He knows you're wet, you're lubricated. It's fun for him. It's fun to play with you, have some sexual tension with you. It makes class go by faster and be more interesting. I don't think he actually, outside of flirting with you and messing around with you to mess with your mind, actually cares about anything as it relates to dating you. And even guy number one said that himself out of his own mouth. In which case, don't waste your time. Don't waste time messaging them. Don't waste time posting anything for them to see it. Don't waste time, sharing notes with them. Just pretend like they don't exist, okay? If they send you anything outside of class, just ignore it. You don't owe people nothing, okay? And move on with your life. Because honestly, all it's striking me as, they just like messing with you. I don't even think I think they probably joke around who can mess with you more, or get you more flustered, or create a wet spot on your chair. I honestly think it's just a joke for them. And I don't want you to continue to be a joke where you're posting stuff thinking that one of these guys will eventually want it. I don't think any of them are looking to do that. I'm not saying that you're a bad person or you're repulsive or unattractive. I'm just saying I don't think those guys are trying to date you. So no point playing a game to try to figure out how to get them to date you when I don't think their interest level is even there. Okay? Don't waste more time. All right, that's the show for today. I answered a lot of questions today. For those of you who are wanting to ask me a question, whether it be in the free section, in the premium section, or in my private section, you can access all of those links to the link in my bio or the link in my description on if you're watching this on YouTube. All right. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram is just above my head on the top left corner of the screen. If you're watching on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, it's just in the bottom of the description somewhere there. For those of you who want to rewatch the show, if you're watching on TikTok or you came late or anything like that, you can go up to my YouTube channel by typing in my name, Tomisin, Tomisin. And then when you get onto my YouTube channel, just go over to the live section and you'll be able to see all of these live streams I've done and this one, and all of them since the beginning of time. And you'll be able to also see the YouTube chat and the TikTok chat embedded in the video so you won't miss a second of conversation, okay? I'm live every Monday and Friday. Oh, by the way, let me acknowledge one of these donations here because we had another one. We had a couple more. Let me see here. I had one that it was Gullivants. Gullivants donated another $5. She said, if budget permits, I'll tell you about the situation that led me to your channel. Oh, you perfectly can. You can send me in a private question, okay? All right, chat. I'll see you again on Thursday. Today, wait, what is today? Today's Monday. I'll see you again. Today's Monday? Today's Monday. I'll see you again on Thursday. That'll be the next time I'm on live. All right. I'm on Mondays, Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I bid you adieu. Ciao, salam, hasta la vista, sayonara, arrivederci, adios, bounty, bon voyage. And I'll see you again on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. I love you so much. Bye for now. Okay.